Hey guys, this is 1 to 1 Gigawatts. This is the 1 to 1 Gigawatts podcast. This is episode 2, and this week's topic is just us talking about the Marvel movies and giving them rank and putting them basically into a rank order on which we think is the best to down to the worst. So, obviously, the two of us, big Marvel fan. Well, I'd say big Marvel fan. I think you're a bigger Marvel fan than me. But in terms of the movies, we've seen, I think, 90% of them. Well, actually, I say 90% of them in cinema. We've seen all of them, but I mean, wait, how many have you actually seen in cinema, Jacob?
I've seen all of them.
You've seen all of them in cinema. I don't think
Yeah,
I've seen Iron Man
since
1
Iron
in
Man.
cinema.
Yeah, I've seen him on the cinema, like at least once.
I think I've seen 90% of them in cinema, which is what I originally meant. I've seen
The
seen all of them.
only the like I'm still trying to think. Like I don't think there's any that I didn't see in cinema.
What about the
Not
Hulk?
one.
What about the original Hulk?
Oh, that's the only one. That's the only one.
That's the
Because
exception.
I didn't know that was the MCU at the time. So
But the thing, that's a bit of a tricky one. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it when we get to it. But yeah, so this is okay. We've changed the format on our podcast. Instead of doing like a news roundup, because to be honest, I think you guys would much rather have other podcasts that you would go towards for that. I thought we'd specify, like, we stick to a topic and stick to a subject that maybe would be more relevant to us instead of talking about the news, because unless the news is kind of relevant to us and we want to talk about it, then maybe we'll talk about it. But I honestly
and also
sorry.
a big reason is both of us we don't get put on furlough, so we don't have a lot of time.
Yeah, we've got jobs, so we don't have a lot of time, and like researching news is quite time is quite lengthy. So
like even if if say for example if a lockdown is announced for because we live in the UK, Tom will still be working guaranteed, whereas I won't
100%,
be.
like 100%,
Yeah.
I'll still be working.
Yeah.
But yeah, so so we're changing the format a little bit. We're gonna basically just have the subject as the main focus, and maybe if we start track off with news and stuff, then sure. Like, because at the end of the day, like, even though we have a topic, this is kind of like free reign. Like, we'll talk about stuff if we want to talk about it. It's like, this is just time for us to really just sit down and just discuss stuff and talk basic shit. It's like, this is essentially what I think our podcast is. It's just us talking
Rambling.
shit. Yeah, it's rambling for
Babbling.
a couple of hours. So yeah, we'll basically we'll get right into it. I think that's basically really more or less.
So we're gonna go through them in chronological order from their release, not their actual chronological order that they are set.
Not in the terms of like the timeline, but in terms of like their actual cinema release.
And they're gonna rank them on a tier list, and I will obviously be the final factor because I know better. And he will argue with that, but he don't know nothing. He needs to sit his ass down.
So we're gonna make a list that we're gonna sort of like agree on together, and then that'll be like our final tier list for the Marvel movies. So I'm gonna just quickly swap to my PC monitor so that you can see the tier list. It will still be in here, like you can still see it. So let me just put that. Oh, hang on, that is the wrong one. So it is.
I apologize for this, guys. You can't get the staff.
Okay, there we go. There we go. That's the one I wanted. Okay.
All right.
So, hang on. All right, cool. All right, got it sorted. Okay, there we go. It only took like a couple of minutes. Right, so.
Oh, whatever, say half a minute, but yeah.
Well, I mean, it wasn't that long. I'm exaggerating, of course. Right, do you want
I mean, I think they're in the wrong order. They're in the wrong order, so
yeah,
we're gonna have to
they're in the wrong order, but we'll do it chronologically. So we'll introduce the first movie, which is the Hulk,
Iron
right?
Man.
No, I thought it was
Iron
Hulk.
Man.
Is it?
No, it's not Iron Man. Iron Man's first.
No, I thought Hulk came out before Iron Man.
Nope, Iron Man came out first.
Oh, really?
Guarantee you.
Right. Well, Iron Man. Well, I already know exactly which way this is going, and I think we mutually go. It's going to top tier.
Oh yeah, like the funny thing about the first Iron Man is why is it not in top tier? Like you should put it in. Oh, you mean like it's not top tier? It's like the one below it.
Well, Ultra Instinct is basically like God worthy.
Okay. All right, so
Iron Man is very good, but I wouldn't say it's Ultra Instinct.
I agree with you actually there, because like the funny thing about this movie, it owes so much because it started this all like Robert Downey Jr. is of course perfect casting, like he was back then, and for a movie that was basically unfinished when it was filmed, like it didn't even have a full finished script.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it didn't. This is the whole thing. They had to basically make up most of the movie as they went along.
Wow,
It works.
I didn't realize they didn't have a. It's
Yeah.
such a good fucking movie. Like
Yeah.
it's like
It,
the opening scene is fucking awesome, and then
the, the opening scene is great. The entire origin is great. It's like it's almost overshadowed by Dark Knight coming out the same year. But honestly, like I think people remember it more fondly than that kind of thing. It's
yeah,
the second best origin movie next to Batman Begins, in my opinion.
yeah, it's fucking
Like,
awesome. Like that this movie started it all. If it wasn't for how successful Iron Man was, we honestly would
Yeah.
not have the rest of these movies in this tier list because
Now,
it started everything. If it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have it.
yeah. Now it has problems.
Of course.
Mostly third act problems because the villain just becomes a completely different character once he gets that suit on. And Obadiah Stane, like played by Jeff Bridges, is great up until that point. Obviously, there's the start of the whole like Shield thing, and that Pepper Potts is one of the best love interests of any superhero, probably the best. But yeah, like it opens up there. Like I say, it's just a damn good movie.
It's
like,
a damn fucking good movie.
Yeah.
Like it. As I said, I do agree with you that the third act falls off a little bit, but I wouldn't even say it falls off that much.
No, it's still an entertaining fight to watch. Like there's some great moments. Like I love some of the lines that Obadiah says towards the end. Like, I never had the taste for this sort of thing, but I must admit I'm deeply enjoying the suit. It's so good.
I also love the end scene where he just drops the ball. He's like, "Yeah, I am Iron Man." And everyone's just like,
that's
"What?"
That's one of the greatest like endings to a superhero movie in my opinion.
Yeah, he drops it. He completely drops that he's a superhero, and everyone just loses.
Yeah, I agree with you now. Like, yes, not god tier, but it deserves
the top spot because
in my list it's not top 10, but it is like basically 11. Like actually no, it's number 10. Like if I was to rank it, like
it's a
number
fucking
10.
Awesome movie.
It deserves all the praise it gets, basically.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Next is Incredible Hulk. Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say.
It's just
I have not watched that movie a lot. I liked it when I watched it. I think Edward Norton is great as Bruce Banner.
Yeah, too much money.
Yeah, but that's just Edward Norton. It's just his thing. He likes to ask for more money than he's worth. But I think he's kind of mellowed out on that kind of thing now.
You can't replace me. Gets replaced.
Yeah, he gets replaced. I mean, I would have been interested to see what his Bruce Banner been like, but let's talk about the film we've got and not what we could have had. So, like the movie's got some really well put together action scenes. I think the effect of the Hulk looks much better than people give it. Like,
yeah, he does look good.
Down.
He just look.
He looks better than the original Hulk from Hagley. Like that looked like
also
that looked shit.
Also, the Abomination's pretty cool.
The Abomination is pretty cool. I like his design. I love Tim Roth as the Abomination. He's always good. Even though he's just not going to do the accent, but whatever. I like I'm blanking his name. The guy who plays Ross in that one. I think the Ross in the original Hulk is better because it's played by a much more suited actor, but I still like it.
Yeah. I can't even remember. I think my big problem with the original Hulk movie is like it takes too long to get to where it's supposed to be, and the Abomination doesn't really show up until I want to say the late second act, maybe early third act.
Yeah, and the fight with him and the Abomination is boss, like how he uses the car and that.
It's awesome. Like the fight's great. Like when Abomination and Hulk fight, awesome, great scene. Yeah. But getting there just takes too long. And I like slow burns, but if I remember from the Hulk, there was too many it was just
it has the problem, Tom, that all Hulk movies and things with the Hulk in have. You're just waiting for the Hulk to turn into the Hulk.
Yeah.
But the entire movie is fighting against that. Because that's the entire point of Bruce Banner's character is he doesn't want to turn into the Hulk.
Yeah.
Like he wants to control the monster within, but the audience is like, bring out the Hulk.
Yeah.
And this is where Avengers realize the problem, but we'll get to them.
We'll get to that. So
like Hulk, I say, it's an okay movie. It ain't great.
Hulk is and we're gonna move on.
Yeah. I don't think it's a bad movie, but yeah.
No, it's not terrible. It's just fine.
Next, we have a movie that is kind of bad, but I don't think I'd put it in the dog shit tier. I think it's okay, but not for we'll talk about Iron Man 2. That's the next one.
Okay. All right. Wait. Iron Man 2. Where are you? Where are you, Iron Man 2? There you go.
There you go. So Iron Man 2, right? It doesn't work. It has no plot. Because things just happen and until it finally coalesces in the third act with something that goes on. There's too many things going on. Tony dying from his arc reactor, the whole trying to do the demon in a bottle thing. the two subplot villains like come back together. Yes, they're working together, but there's two different sides to it going on, and there just doesn't seem to be a lot happening.
The three is it? I'm sure it's this one. Is it the? It's the three villains, right? Because it's like you have Whiplash, and then like my problem with Iron Man 2, right, is the fact that you think Whiplash is the villain, then it turns out he's not the villain, but then later comes back to being the villain again. It's like, make up your goddamn mind.
Okay, this movie has the same problem that original Spider-Man has, the first one with Green Goblin. No, once Green Goblin gets what he wants, the movie's over.
Yeah,
like his character arc is done, and he does that before he even gets shown on screen. In this, when Whiplash goes on the track and cuts down his car and he fights him in that cool ass.
It was to prove something, and he already proved it. Therefore, the movie's now over because his objective is finished.
Yeah, the movie's done, and then the movie tries to find something for him to do, which is basically just get talked at by Sam Rockwell, who is fantastic in this, and I quote a lot of lines from him like all the time, like the fucking when he's presenting the weapons, it's gold. I call it the ex-wife. Yeah. So good. But that being said, yeah, there's just a problem because the movie's struggling to find anything to do after that point.
Which is why we get War Machine, which is why we get like a lot of this like don't get me wrong, War Machine, cool as hell, right?
The fight between him and Rhodey in the house is ridiculous. It's like a cartoon. Yeah. I don't like it at all.
Yeah. The end scene where they come together and fight the drones.
The drones is great. It's awesome. It's one of the best scenes in honestly any of the MCU. Like it's still great to this day. It's
awesome. It's great. But too bad the rest of the movie is just
There's so much faffing to get to there, and then Tony Stark just randomly creating a new element because his dad left him a hidden message. And it's like, okay,
all right. I like how he goes. He looks at the table, and goes, "That's an element." And goes, "Let's make the element," and then he fucking makes a Hydra collider in his fucking house, and then he just moves the laser, and burns through his books and his car.
Look, my final word on Iron Man 2 is that I don't think it's a bad movie. It just doesn't work. It has moments in it that are great, but like, it's just. If I
remember, Iron Man 2 introduces Nick Fury and Black Widow, right?
Yes. Also, Nick Fury is introduced in Iron Man 1, but if you went into that not seeing the end credit scene, you wouldn't know who that character is, and it's a big problem. Huge problem because he just shows up like.
Obviously, this was like Iron Man 1 was before the whole MCU post-credit thing kind of was a thing. So people would have just left and they wouldn't have known about it. So I can definitely understand why that's a big problem because
huge problem
because they never this was never established, this post-credit stuff, and even now people still fucking walk out the cinema. We're in a Marvel movie. Are you insane? Like every time we've been to cinema, Jacob, right? There's people that get up as soon as the credits roll. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like,
oh no! By Avengers, I'd say I think people.
Most people are starting to learn now, but there's still some people that still walk out, and you can tell.
Because they can just watch it online. They know that. True. So, but that's all I've got to say on Iron Man 2. Like, really,
it's air. We'll put it as low air.
Yeah, I don't think it's dog shit, but yeah,
we'll put it as a low air.
This is another air. First Thor, for me.
What was the next one? Did you say?
First Thor.
First Thor.
Thor. I think it's an air. Like you make your case, and obviously I might change my mind, but like I say, right. Here's my word on Thor. First 20 minutes is awesome. The rest of the movie worthless.
I'm trying to remember exactly what happens in Thor. It's
so
been so long since I've watched it.
You basically want the entire movie to just be the opening 20 minutes with him, Loki, and doing the Frost, doing what you think Thor would do. Yes, he's an arsehole. He's got to learn his lesson, but all the stuff on Earth is the worst. Like,
if I remember, I hated the love interest. Like, is it?
Yeah,
who is it that played?
It's Natalie Portman.
Portman. I hated her in that movie.
Yeah,
she's awful. Like.
And like you completely waste Natalie Portman. Why don't just have like Kat Dennings be? She's much more like I have a thing for Kat Dennings. That she's much more attractive and like I could see her being love interest. But like Natalie Portman's wasted that movie. This Natalie is when she just come off the Oscar.
It seems to me right is that she was just thrown in it because she was offered a shitload of money. She didn't really care too much.
She just come off the Oscar, remember?
Yeah,
so,
she probably just came off the Oscar boat. So she was riding high, and she didn't really give a shit about this movie. No, I agree with you. It's an air.
Yeah, like I say, it just like. Even when you get to the end, like, look, yes, it has Loki in it, and he is fantastic in it, and like acting his ass off. But he doesn't really become the Loki that we all know and love until the Avengers.
Yeah, he doesn't save the movie.
No, he doesn't. Unfortunately, like I say, because, like I say, the first 20 minutes is great, but again, it doesn't earn enough on the third act to really win me back.
I remember like the whole. yeah, I actually think the first 20, 30 minutes are really good. It's when obviously he loses his hammer and it gets thrown to
Yeah.
him. And I think him trying to learn the whole
His lesson is basically just be nice, and you'll get your hammer back.
yeah,
So,
and it kind of happens too fucking fast.
yeah,
Yeah,
he's basically he's just learned
I
if
agree.
he's
I agree with you. It is kind of air.
and you wasted Kenneth Branagh's talent. Like Kenneth Branagh, one of my best directors, and like you fucking wasted him on this movie. But I do find it funny how Natalie Portman's going to come back for Thor: Love and Thunder, but we'll get there.
Oh yeah,
anyway.
but that's because she's seen how fucking well they've done. Now she's like, oh, I want a slice of that pie.
So next is Captain America: The First Avenger. Now I think that should be in the same category as Iron Man because I fucking love a First Avenger.
Oh no, the first Captain America is great. So yeah, I agree.
Now, okay, this movie, like
Wait,
Iron Man, has the
that
same.
wrong one?
That is the right one.
Okay.
Don't worry, you've got the right one. So First Avenger has the exact same problem that Iron Man does. It has third act problems, but the first 2/3 are some of the best origins for a comic book character. This is the perfect Captain America origin movie for the first 2/3. Like the scene where he's like dancing with the girls and like he's in the original costume, perfect, absolute perfection. And I remember you saw this with me. Like we were enjoying the shit out of this movie back in 2011. Like
yeah.
We even stayed for the Avengers trailer at the end of it. But yeah.
it was great. I remember I 100% because I remember walking out and going, wait, that movie was actually so fucking good. Like that was amazing.
And I love the setting.
I was super surprised because I remember us going into this and we thought this was going to be kind of either shit or okay. Because I think the trailers didn't really do it that much. Just if I remember.
Yeah.
But this is like thinking what 10 years ago now. So I remember going into it and going, I'm not expecting much, and then being blown away by it.
It's great. Like I love the setting. I love how like earnest the movie is with Captain America's philosophy. It's like he just doesn't want to hurt anyone. He just doesn't like people pushing him down. Like like the famous line, "I can do this all day," means so much in that movie than it does. People think it does. Like there's so many great characters in that movie. Like Tommy Lee Jones, Howard Stark, young Howard Stark. Fucking the villain, Hugo Strange. No, Hugo Strange. Hugo Weaving.
Because Hugo Strange is from fucking Batman.
Yeah. Hugo Weaving as the Red Skull. Perfect casting. Yes, he might not be in it enough, but what we get of him is glorious. Like, but yeah, like third act problems mostly just for it's just basically the movie finding an excuse for him to go in the ice, basically.
Yeah, very true.
And it does the best it can.
But
and look, it's got to happen. And I'm like, was it the best way to happen? Probably not. No, but I still dig the shit out of the movie. Like I love it even. It's my favorite of the Avengers movies. Even more than Iron Man, personally. That's just
really?
for me.
Mine's Iron Man. But do you know what I was gonna say as well? I think out of all the Marvel movies, maybe there might be exceptions. It has one of the best post-credit scenes because it shows you like him coming out of the ice and then trying to adapt to the modern world. I know it's very short, but him running out into New York and going.
Oh, that's the ending of the movie. The post-credit scene is him with Nick Fury.
Oh, okay. Oh no, I'm thinking then the movie.
The ending's great. Like the ending's great.
Fucking great. Where he runs out and he's like, "Where the hell am I?" So good, love it. So and I think that is
it for the pre-Marvel stuff. So we got like two good movies, but again, we're in the minority on what. Like I know that people don't love the first Avenger, but like I say, I think that most people feel the same. I know that some people will be annoyed with where we put Thor, but I don't care. Like I don't think that movie's very good.
I think it's okay. Like honestly, I think I rate it a bit higher than you. Like for me personally, I'd put it in a high good. But honestly, I honestly think like it does deserve it. It needs to go in a high air because it's like
it's not dog shit. It's just
not dog shit, but it's just like. It kind of falls off after 40 minutes, like 30, 40 minutes. And
it's like the movie's over after 20 minutes, and that's a big problem for it.
I don't like Natalie Portman in it at all.
Yeah.
Now that you mentioned, I just don't like her. So are we going to jump straight to the first Avengers?
You mean, yeah, that's it.
Wait, that's the next one.
That's the next one, yeah. That's the end of phase 1. So
top tier.
Yeah, 100%. One of the best scripts ever written for a movie for something so simple. Josh Whedon is like the unsung hero of that movie, putting together.
He fucking nailed that movie.
Yeah.
Like
one of the most quotable, funny movies I've seen in years. Like I when I went to we went to see it like together. I still remember this.
I actually didn't see the Avengers in cinema.
Did you not? I thought you were with us when you saw it.
No, I did not see it with you. I was one of the few people who didn't see it in cinema because I remember everyone talking about it, but I never had a chance to go see it. I think. You
finally went to see it?
I finally did go to see it, and I loved it when I seen it. But I was really late to the party, like real late.
But it's fucking awesome movie. So quotable, so funny. problems, yes. Like the first 10 minutes, I think is a bit dry, but once like it starts rolling, man, does it roll! And I've always said this, Tom. If you're gonna do a movie, build to a great third act rather than have blow all your load in the first part. Because like,
yeah, because you're going to remember the last part of the movie when you leave the cinema more than if it starts really good at the end, because then you're expecting more.
This is why I love Rogue One, because Rogue One builds to an incredible third act, and so does Avengers. Avengers, everyone remembers the ending.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
And the second act is great too when they're on the helicarrier, and like the first act is its weakest. I would say
Honestly,
if any act's going to be the weakest, Tom, let it be your first.
Yeah, definitely. No, I honestly don't stress that the first act is probably the weakest. But at the same time, I like the first act because it's them introducing the characters and going, well, this is how they would. Well, they wouldn't know each other, so they would be hostile to each other, and this is how they would act. And then they also throw comedy in with it as well. It's great.
All the interactions are great. The action scene is great. The best version of the Hulk. Like they finally get the Hulk right because they just decide to play him for comedy because he is funny.
Yeah.
Like all of he has some of the best moments in the entire movie. Like obviously the puny go with Loki, as well as awesome. Loki.
Yeah, that's great.
Loki is also a big reason why this movie works. He's one of the most iconic villains in years. Like he rivals the Joker in that movie. Like he's so fucking good.
Also, Hawkeye's line where he's like, "You're welcome," when he shoots like one of the. He's like, "Did you just bring a bag of arrows?" Yeah, you're welcome. Great, fantastic line. It's like, when I think it's when he saves. Is it Tony Stark? I feel like it's Tony Stark he saves, and then he says that, and then that's the line. That's what I was mentioning. Also, what was I going to say about Avengers? Oh, Avengers was the start of the Magic Blue Cube fucking fiasco, like fad that carried on after that. Everyone was after magical blue cubes. No, it was fucking Transformers.
No. Transformers, the Avengers, basically, when they make Avengers, they basically said, do Transformers 3 because we need something that's going to sell big.
Magic Blue Cube.
Because Josh Whedon basically had the plot, what would happen, and he had to just fill in all the details. And boy, did he do it.
He got a template, went, we could. This will work. Yeah. This will work. We can do this.
Because honestly, like Tom, like being a movie like this, I think having a simple plot works to its strength.
Yeah, it definitely does because it doesn't make things too complicated. They're not trying to do too much. It's like. Honestly.
And when people say what annoys about people is when they complain about the movie, they say it's not about anything. I'm like, you're missing the point. Like it's not about being about anything. It's a fireworks show.
Yeah, it's
celebrating the fact that they've done this. This is history. Like it's the first in like a shared universe, literally, and like people are part of that history. Sure, it's not about anything, but when are big crossovers ever really about anything?
The whole point of the Avengers is about the Avengers. Like the plot is as kind of like a secondary thing, really, if you think about it.
The second, third, and fourth one where you do the big ideas, like because obviously you've established them by then. But
Endgame is when like things get really interesting, and Infinity War is when things got really interesting. But,
so go on then. So next. I think that's it for the Avengers. And is that anything else you want to say on that?
Was Avengers the one that introduced that showed Thanos at the end, if I remember?
Yes, it was. That was also our introduction to Thanos.
Introduction to Thanos.
Clearly something that would be differently than what we got. But
100%. But the fact that they thought about this so early on is pretty impressive.
It's interesting, yeah. So.
But yeah, next movie after that is
Iron Man 3.
Iron Man 3, yeah.
Okay, Iron Man 3 is one of my top 5.
Hang on, I think it's good. I wouldn't put it top tier for me, but like I
think it's best tier. So I would say put it in top tier because I think it's one of the best tier. You think it's okay? It's got to go in the middle then. By compromise.
Low top tier then.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So for me, it's number 4. Many people do not get this movie for 2 reasons. Like obviously, I'll say this because obviously you haven't probably seen it in a while, right? The thing with Iron Man 3 is the 2 complaints that I always see people do is the Mandarin's not the Mandarin, and that scene where he gets his house blown up and he tells them where to go. Let's go for the second one first. Everyone knows who Iron Man is. Like they would easily be able to find his house. Like
that point I never understood why people complain about. It's like, well, of course they know who he is. He's fucking Tony Stark. Yeah. Everyone knows who Tony Stark is, and they could easily find where he lives.
In the scene, he's angry. His friend's almost been killed. Like I get it.
But the whole point is like Tony Stark knows this. And he knows the risk of him revealing Iron Man, which is why he did it because he thinks he's untouchable. Like the point of it is that he's cocky.
He's got to learn that he's got to learn that he's not, and he loses almost everything because of it.
He's got to learn that Tony Stark's got to learn like he's cocky. And he needs to stop being cocky. That's the whole point.
And then the point with the Mandarin is look guys, like the Mandarin is not going to work in 2013 because it's too much of an idea from the 60s, and it's very very offensive still nowadays. Yes, I would love for.
What exactly is the original Mandarin?
basically a space wizard who has the power of 10 magic rings that give her various abilities.
Oh, that's very different.
And like I
from
say,
what we
the
got.
Mandarin has been re-altered many different times, so I don't see why this was a problem, because I think this one works because the reason, obviously, I'm not going to say what the twist is, but we've seen the movie, so I'm just going to say the point of the movie is, like, this is what the main villain, when he actually reveals himself, actually
I think
says.
if people are watching this, I think they've already watched it. I think you could say
Yeah.
the twist.
So when we find out the Mandarin's not real, spoilers, the point the villain says is that he learned from Tony, because you know at the start he like goes and gets almost like he tries to get with Tony to like show him his idea, and he just leaves him on the roof all night. And this was New Year's, and he contemplated killing himself. He learned a lesson of anonymity, like rule from behind the scenes, be someone that's never been seen. The point of the Mandarin is to show that things aren't always what seen because there's always something going on in the background. Like the Mandarin is designed as the perfect terrorist. He has all the elements that scare people. Like his entire speeches are designed. Everything's like from a design standpoint to get the most out of someone. Like the villain has a great line at the end where he's like, the president goes to him and goes, "What do you want from me?" He's like, "Nothing, sir. I just wanted a reason to kill you that would play well on TV." It's so good. He's one of the best villains of the Marvel universe, and no one talks about him, and it annoys the shit out of me. It's also one of the funniest. Has some great lines. It's written by Shane Black, who is the man is like one of the best writers we've got. Who also did the new Predator, Tom. Like he.
Oh really?
He did
Oh
the,
god, that movie was awful.
But it had some great lines.
It did have some great lines. Too bad the rest of it was trash.
But yeah, this movie has some great lines. It has some fantastic action. The third act with all the suits is incredible.
I love that act. My favorite part of Iron Man 3, right, is I'll give you exactly what I liked about the movie. Is I liked the first act not as strong. The second act where he loses his suit and basically and then has to like infiltrate the mansion. Awesome, love that.
Yeah,
that's
love
great.
that's some great shit. Like people complain like, oh, you don't like, you don't go see an Iron Man movie for Iron Man. Like, well, Iron Man is Iron Man. Like Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man. That's the point of the first movie.
It's like people miss the point. Is that Tony Stark and Iron Man are
the same person.
It's the same person. Like,
you know the scene in the 3 where they're sitting on the couch, like the suit's sitting next to him. That could be the point of the movie right there.
Yeah. And
like it's just
like Tony Stark is just as entertaining as Tony Stark as he is as Iron Man. Like
he's almost more entertaining.
Yeah, in fact, he's more like the scene in the first one where he's in the courtroom. No, the second one where he's in the courtroom and he's just like basically humiliating the US government.
Yeah.
He's not even in the suit. He's not doing anything. He's just pissing the government off, and that's great.
Like there's an amazing scene where they rescue people on a plane that should have been in a Superman movie but wasn't, like where he rescues everyone. And like it's not like the computer tells him he can only rescue 4, he rescues all of them. Like he shows how much of a hero he is. Like I just don't get what people like don't get about that one. It's just it's so good, it's so quotable, it's got so much to say, and it's like I every time that people complain about it, it's always the same complaints, and it frustrates me. Like just watch it again and just see how good it is. Because it deserves all the praise it should get, and people have been more up to it over the time. Like I know there's plenty of people that I know that really dig this movie, and like, every time that I've known people watch it again, they always go, it gets better and better as it goes on, because it is a fantastic movie, and I think
I haven't
people
watched it in a while, so maybe I should give it another watch again.
You should definitely give it another. I think you'd like it even more. It's one of those movies that gets better.
I remember when I watched it, I remember liking it. I didn't think it was the best movie at the time, but I remember thinking, it's pretty good. Like.
Yeah. But I loved it when I first watched it. Like I saw it a good 3 times.
The end scene was for. I think the one thing that I didn't like was when Pepper got the powers. That was one thing I didn't like.
Because the villain has a great death and then Pepper just ruins it. But you know.
Yeah, I didn't like that bit.
Not perfect by any means, but you know, I think it's easily the best of all 3 of them. Like it's the best written. It's the best, got the best action. It has the best like.
I think that scene should have been replaced with. It should have been replaced with the scene that was in Avengers Endgame, where Pepper got a suit. That should have been what happened. Yeah. She should have got.
And she almost got the suit. Like obviously in little scenes in there, but yeah.
Yeah, she got awesome like a little bit of a suit action, but she should have been given her own suit, and I think that's what should have. If that scene was in there, this movie would have been fucking great. But like, for me personally.
I think it's great. Like I think it's one of the best Marvel movies. But like I say, I just wish that people would just give it another chance. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. Please, guys.
I like it. I think it's a good movie, but it's not in my favorites. I just thought it was. I think it was good. That was it.
A movie that unanimously is hated is the next one, Thor 2.
oh! I know exactly where this movie's going.
Yeah, no, I know exactly. Yeah.
Actual dog shit. Like, yeah. This movie's fucking trash.
I watched this movie. I watched all the Marvel movies again recently because we've got Disney
Yeah.
Plus. So I can tell you, I've been watching this movie recently, and it's just as bad as you remember. Um,
Again,
everyone in it looks like they don't want to make it, and it's true because no one did want to make the movie. Tom, like everyone says this.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
No one wanted to make it. Not a single one of them. It makes me laugh how they said they try and do the dark thing. I'm like, no, you made a comedy with just a villain that uses dark powers. That's all you did.
This
Like you go to the dark one, it's just desert. That's
Is
like all it is. It's not really exactly a dark world.
Is,
The villain.
Is Dark World the first time they actually referenced the Infinity Stones as an Infinity Stone or something close to
Yes, it is in the end credits with the Guardian stuff, but we'll
Yeah.
get to that in a minute. So yeah, this movie's biggest problem is it's too much of a comedy, and most of the comedy doesn't work. Like all the stuff with Natalie Portman and Kat Dennings is annoying, and like you don't care. Even the stuff with Thor is just not as good as the first one, and like
Yeah.
Hemsworth looks.
It's like they went, oh, the first one was real good. Let's do that again, but slightly different, and then just not as good.
Hemsworth looks like he's bored. Loki can't save the movie, and they get some great moments. And like I
No.
say, the villain is one of the worst of the entire MCU because he literally has no other function other than to get this thing when it comes out. He's literally sleeping until it's found,
What does
and
he
then he
actually
has
want to
purpose
do
again.
with it? Like, I can't even remember. It's been so long.
He
since
wants
I've
to
watched
basically make all the world dark because.
Oh,
Like he's played by Christopher Eccleston, who hated the role, and I don't blame him. Like they gave him nothing to do.
Isn't
They
it-
basically made him. Sorry, they basically made him speak like this stupid language all the time, and it was worthless. So yeah.
Isn't this the movie where Loki also discovers he's actually part giant, and then they do nothing with it?
No, that's the first one,
Is
and
it?
that's where they do all of it. Yeah, that's when he
Oh,
finds
I
that's
can't
the
remember. I
entire
can't-
arc. That's his entire arc in the first one.
I can't even remember. But so
No,
why-
in this he's just being a dick, like
Oh yeah, now I remember. Yeah. It's been so long since I've watched fucking Thor. 1 and
because
2.
and then he like helps Thor because they killed his mother with no build up because his mother just they have a whole funeral scene for a character that we didn't know.
Oh,
And
yeah.
sure after Endgame it's sadder, kind of.
Yeah.
But yeah,
They
this
kind of-
movie does not.
I like how in Endgame they try and fix that. They try and fix this
Yeah.
movie because they.
I
know
love how they
shit.
knew that. I knew they had to go there, but like, okay, the only scene that's pretty decent, and I'll give it this, is the ending where they just go through all the portals. Like the fight scene between Thor and him, like is
Yeah.
pretty creative at the end. That's kind of it. The rest of it just doesn't
Honestly,
work.
like it's been so long since I've watched this. Like you could tell, like this movie.
It belongs in that bottom tier.
Is actual dog shit because I can't even remember half this movie.
Yeah.
I don't even remember it. I watched it on release and never watched it again.
It's a bad movie. I'm sorry. Like I'm sorry, guys.
At least with all these ones, I've watched more than once. This one, I've only watched once.
I've watched that movie. I've watched that movie 3 times, and I still can't believe I've watched it 3 times.
It's trash. It's fucking
Yeah.
awful. All right. Anyways, let's move on because we're not talking about this.
So
pile of
next
crap.
is arguably one of the best movies in all the MCU, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, which I think goes in top tier, and I think everyone else, Tom, will agree with me.
Yeah.
So if you don't put it in top tier,
I
like-
agree with you. I agree. It's top tier. It's
No, very top tier. Like it has to
What,
go in
Ultra
very top tier.
Instinct?
Yeah, it's the Winter Soldier, Tom. It's the look best directed, best action, best story of the entire MCU. That's the single best story of the entire
Wait,
MCU.
is this the movie or is that Civil War? Is this the way they introduced the whole origin with Tony Stark's parents and him?
No, that's Civil War. Winter
Yeah.
Soldier is the one with Captain America finding out that Hydra's behind everything.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. I'll give you that.
Yeah, do you see what I mean?
We'll put it in Ultra Instinct. That's fine.
Because the thing with this movie when it first came out, I saw it in the cinema, I wasn't expecting anything from this movie.
No.
The trailers looked cool. I liked how the Winter Soldier was in it because I was excited about it because I knew who it would be, obviously, because he died in the first one.
Yeah.
Like, you know, of course it's going to be him. Like, I don't know why anyone suspected it would be him, but anyway. So yeah, like for me personally, like Winter Soldier isn't my favorite, but I think it's the best Marvel movie still because it's the best directed. It's got the best action. The action scene in this movie is unrivaled. The part where Winter Soldier fights him with the knife,
That's awesome.
incredible.
Yeah,
Where
I
he's, like,
remember
flipping it.
now. And
Yeah.
like his entire his fight scenes are so fucking good. I
Yeah.
remember
Every
that.
time the Winter shows up in this movie, it's awesome. The scene with Nick Fury being attacked by the cop cars
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
using the thing. Do you see what I mean? You remember it now, don't you?
Yeah,
This
it's
movie is
starting
great.
to come back to it. Actually,
Yeah.
I remember when we went to see
Yeah.
this. I remember us walking out and going, "Holy fuck, that was amazing!"
That was because you were with me, like
yeah, I was.
because and what I love about this movie is Tom, it has a great story too.
Yeah.
Like it's about Captain America finding out that basically all his life, all this sacrifice was for
Oh,
nothing.
yes, yes. Oh, it's coming back to me now. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Actually, no, I definitely think it. Yeah. Okay,
yeah,
okay,
it's
yeah.
top tier,
It's
isn't it?
it's
Like,
it's like I've had to like remember because I'm getting confused
yeah,
between this and Civil War. But like
yeah, yeah.
it,
The scene,
I've started to remember now. Yeah.
like the scene where he finds out the Hydra's behind everything is so cool. Like it's an incredible reveal. Like the Hydra's behind everything. Third act is fantastic. The Falcon's great. Great introduction to him. Like every line he says is gold. And like I say, it's just got a really good story. It's just so good. Like such a well-made movie, and no one's expecting anything from it. And these, obviously, this is the movie that got the guys who made it the job that were doing the next Avengers.
Oh,
Like,
really?
because these
Wow.
are the guys. Because this came out being the best movie of that era. Because like, not a lot of people like Iron Man 3. Not a lot of people liked Thor 2, but everyone loved this and Guardians.
Mm.
So there you go. Like, so yeah, like, do you see what I mean? Like I said, this is deserves to be best top. Yeah, it's like probably the because Captain America. I'm sorry, he has the best movies. He does.
Yeah.
Like he has the best movies of all the mainline Avengers. Like,
I think
all his movies are great.
I just think like they could do so much with like for some
Yeah.
reason like they do
It's
so
such an
much with
interesting.
Captain America. Like
It's such an interesting sequel because it's a sequel that's entirely different genre,
yeah.
and it works. Like,
Mm.
because Captain's now basically in a different world. He's got a different set of characters. The characters that we know, though, we've got Black Widow in that.
Mm.
Like,
But for him, it's a completely different thing. He's out his element. He doesn't know where, like, he doesn't really know what's going on. Like,
and
if I remember, isn't there scenes where he's like, people are recommending him stuff to him, and he's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
trying
and he's
to
got
like
a list
catch up.
and
Right?
like,
Yeah, yeah. And is that also the scene where he runs around Washington and catches up to? Yeah, yeah,
that's when he meets the
yeah,
Falcon.
yeah.
It also has that heartbreaking scene where he says goodbye to Peggy, like when she's
Oh
old.
yeah, I forget about those bits where it's like because
Yeah.
I remember because not only is it obviously emotional for him about Bucky and everything, but also for
Yeah.
Peggy as well. And does he go to the hospital and meet her or something?
Yeah, and she's got dementia. And she can't remember him. He's just like
Yeah.
it's heartbreaking because like Chris Evans is so good. Like I think that we underestimate how good he is like in this role because he's so earnest, but he makes it cool.
Mm.
He does like because like I say, Captain America is a character who refuses to change, but this is just the point of him showing that no, he's refusing to change, and like how he's going to stop that. It's Civil War where we find out that refusal to change has consequences,
Mm.
and we'll get that because obviously what I love about Captain America is each movie is different, like as you go on further on. But yeah, Winter Soldier is still probably the best Marvel movie, like best directed, best action, best story, just the best personally. Like I don't, if it's not your favorite, fine, but I think it's the best on a technical level.
For me, it's not my favorite. I can
No.
understand why it would be because, like, yeah, don't.
No,
Get
it's
me
not
wrong,
my favorite,
It's
but I think it's the best. Like I think it's the best on
it's
all levels. Like
it's a very fucking good movie. Like
it's a damn good movie. It's just so fucking good. Like
and then,
it's a blast. It's a blast from beginning to end. I also love how quiet it has. Its quiet moments, but it's never boring.
yeah,
I
it has its like its quiet bits, but there's still.
On
We talked about this, right? I think during the Transformers commentary, is like what what annoyed me about the Transformers is their down moments were boring and they
and
contributed nothing. Like the whole point of having down moments, this is what fucking Michael Bay doesn't understand, right? Is that you don't have action sequences every 2 seconds because it gets fucking boring. You have a build up to them, and then you have the quiet time to build the characters, and then you have the dramatic fight scenes to put them into a situation to show how they've progressed. And like for some reason he doesn't understand that. He just goes, "Oh, big robot do boom boom," and then
yeah, you've got to have the downtime. Like that's what
you
these
got to have
guys
the downtime. It's like you can't just expect action all the time. It gets boring and it gets repetitive. You need it does, and also the action doesn't hit as hard if it's just constant. If you build up to it and then you have the action, it hits harder.
Yeah. Then this movie, it fucking does. Like it's just
it hits real fucking hard. Yeah.
It's just a damn ass good movie. So yeah, like that's all I've got to say. I think it belongs in best at the top. Okay, so should we move on to the next one? Now, next one is a bit controversial for me. I don't think it's best tier. I think it's top tier. But for me, it's like good, but I'll compromise and say it's top tier. The fourth one, not the top. Guardians of the Galaxy.
I loved Guardians.
I know, and I like it too.
I'll put it low top tier.
That's what I was going to say. Now, I have huge problems with Guardians. I love its sequel, and we'll get there.
I personally prefer the first one, but you know,
I know. I know. I'm in the minority on that, but like, things I love about the first Guardians. I love how like silly it is and how much it wins over the audience to like get them to buy these characters, like a raccoon or a fucking dog in tree. Amazing. The soundtrack is great.
Mm,
A lot of the creative stuff they do with the world is really cool. The third act is great with the battle with the ships.
yeah.
There's a lot of great moments. My biggest problem is I don't think these guys work together as a team, and I don't believe in coming together as a team, not like in Avengers. And I think that's its biggest problem. Also, the comedy doesn't always land. That's for me. That's all I gotta say, complaint wise. Like, but I think it is a huge problem.
I personally have the opposite. I liked all the comedy bits in it. Like,
Mm.
I think your problem with them not coming together as a team, maybe I can understand that a little bit.
It just feels very
I
rushed, and
think,
like,
I think a lot of the characters do work together. I just think
oh yeah,
some of the characters do clash a little bit, but I think for me it works. For me it works.
well,
I can believe it works.
for me, like for example, Gamora and Drax seem like the same character in that movie because they both like because obviously Drax is the straight man with the person who doesn't understand the jokes,
But
but
the
it
thing,
works better in Guardians too, and I'll
yeah,
explain that later.
the
But
thing is that he like in this first movie, yeah, he doesn't really have his own thing yet, but he
Mm.
becomes his own later on, and we
Oh, yeah.
definitely see that, and he does become his own character. I think with Guardians 1, I think they kind of took the source material maybe a bit too literally.
Well, obviously the entire source material with Guardians was a blank slate, so you could do whatever the fuck you wanted with
Oh,
it,
really?
basically.
Maybe
So
I don't know. How I see it is that they were trying to basically suss out exactly what they wanted to do with it, and this
it's a
one,
comedy, but it teeters on more of a not throw around as a farce. It's a comedy, but like with dangerous stuff in it. And also, this movie's biggest problem, which second movie has over it, the villain is not that great. Like he's played by a good actor. He's he's playing it like really scary, but you don't remember him. Like
no, I don't actually. Now you mention it,
the only part you remember is the dance off at the end. That's
yeah,
it.
I remember the dance off at the end.
Yeah, that's the movie. That's the reason why the second one has it over. It has a much better villain. Like, and that's Guardians One's biggest problem. Like, its villain is really weak. It's one of the weakest.
Actually, I got an idea. Well, let's put Guardians in good.
No, I think it's fine. I think it's fine in top tier. Like, I think it's fine up there.
Oh, the reason why
It's just
the reason why
I just don't want it to be in best tier. You know what I mean? Like,
well,
I'm fine with it being
nothing,
top tier.
Nothing's gonna be in that. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna say we're gonna put it in good tier because I think Guardians 2 should also be in good tier because
That's fair,
I don't think Guardians 2. Actually, where's Guardians 2?
Well, let's not put the Guardians 2 there. Yeah, let's get there.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put it in good for now because I think it should go there with Guardians 2.
Yeah, if we're gonna compromise on that,
simply because we're gonna compromise because you think Guardians 2 is better than 1 and I think Guardians 1 is better than 2. So we'll compromise, put them both in good, and we'll call it that.
Alright.
So yeah, let's next. I've got really nothing much to say about Guardians except I thought it worked as a movie. I liked the comedy. Like, I do agree with the whole the villain's not as memorable. I think the thing that I remember the most about it, because bear in mind I don't watch Guardians in ages either, is the dance off at the end, and that's the reason why I liked it so much. Is the comedy hit for me? I liked the whole prison scene. Like,
yeah,
great.
It's a great world building, like, for sort of space.
It's great.
That,
it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, anyway, moving on. Next movie.
So the next movie is Avengers: Age of Ultron, which for me is the second best Marvel movie. Now, obviously, I know I'm in the minority on that. I'm in the minority on a lot of these, but Avengers 2 is a movie, again, like Iron Man 3, I don't think a lot of people get. I think you should just put it for good for now. Might as well.
I'm putting it here just for now, just so we can decide what to do with it.
So, Avengers 2 is the movie that I wanted Avengers 1 to be. Ultron is my favorite MCU villain, and I'm not even kidding about that.
He is correct to say that it is his favorite villain.
Like, he is one of the most interesting villains with so little screen time. Everything he says is interesting and has a meaning behind it. And like, he's played by a great actor, James Spader. Like, he does all that, and like, but it's such a well-made like sequel. So it has so much more to say than the first one did. Introduces Vision, who is one of the most interesting characters in it, with 8 minutes of screen time. All the new stuff with like Hawkeye, them becoming a team. Like, I could watch the scene where they're just at the party trying to lift Mjolnir all day.
Yeah, that's
like,
good.
I
love that scene.
Yeah.
I love that entire bit is what made the movie for me. I know it's just a small scene, but it just shows you like
because there's so many
everything about the characters. It captures everything.
Next to Winter Soldier, Tom, it is the movie that I've rewatched the most in this catalog. I watch it so often. Like, I never get tired of it. Like, the opening with the battle with Hydra, like, is great. The downtime with the party is great. Ultron first coming online is great. When they go the Hulkbuster scene, it has the Hulkbuster scene, Tom. Like,
Oh yeah. Oh, that's
wait,
awesome. Yeah. I
yeah,
love that scene. Like the
yeah.
only reason I'm putting it in good is just because and why it's not in top tier for me is just because I personally prefer the first Avengers more. But that's only just because like I just felt the first Avengers hit harder than the second one. Like the
No, I
second
mean, I
the
disagree. Like, I think
the,
the
se-
second one just does so much more.
the second
Like,
one for me, like I think it has great moments in it. It's just that I don't know. Like I just didn't feel like Ultron was really as good as Loki.
no, but because Loki's had more, but I think Ultron's probably the most interesting of all the MCU villains. He's so
I'm not saying he's not interesting because basically his entire thing is that he just doesn't think humanity deserves anything they have.
well, no, it's just that like he's basically a dark parallel to Tony Stark that like within a few minutes decides that humanity like isn't worth it. But he's a villain that I've never really seen before, Tom, because unlike other villains, Tom, where like they'll get angry at something, he's a child basically. So you know that part where he cuts off like um Claw's arm, like
Mm.
the origin of that. Like he reacts to it almost like a child, and it's so interesting because he is basically a child, but he's a giant robot.
Yeah.
And like I say, the movie's just got some great moments. The third act is great, like with all the fighting between the centuries and that, and the final scene between him and Vision when they're talking about like how humanity's doomed is the best, probably one of the best scenes in all the MCU, if not the best, because there's so much behind that. Like, just like it's basically just the God and the devil talking about how humanity is just basically doomed, basically, and they even say it. Humanity is doomed, but you know,
Mm.
it's just I think it's one of the movies that just people just don't get again. Like, but you know, like I'm gonna compromise and just say go good tier because I can't bother to argue. Like, I don't know if this argument's won you over on it, but you know,
Like
like I would
the,
put it personally in best tier, but you know,
for me, like I like the movie again. Like to be honest, like half these movies I've watched in so fucking long.
yeah,
Like so, I don't really remember too much about them. But I just remember like I remember liking this movie. Like I thought it was good. Don't get me wrong. I don't think it's terrible at all. Like it's not a terrible movie.
yeah,
But like for me, these fuck it, let's just put it in top tier.
yeah.
I'll
It's
put it.
just so
I'll put
much.
it. I'll put it low in top tier. Like the thing is though, it's an Avengers movie, and it's gonna be
Yeah,
good, and it is good, and it's got like
yeah,
the interaction between the characters is fantastic. The chemistry's great. Like the
yeah.
villain, like
The lines in it,
Ultron's a great
so good.
villain. It's just I just don't think he's as heavy hitting as the other ones. And
No, because he's got so little. Like he doesn't get introduced until 20 minutes
he
in.
doesn't
Like,
get introduced in 20 minutes. And also, it's just like I know, obviously, like I think people say that the problem that they have in this movie is that basically it's just Tony Stark making his own problems, which is exactly what it is. It's Tony Stark making his
well,
own
yeah,
fucking
and
problems.
it's a lot of like setup for future movies, which is a problem because obviously that's just what Thor does because Thor isn't given a lot to do.
Yeah,
But
I'm
the
pretty
stuff with
sure.
Hawk,
I'm pretty sure Thor doesn't do anything in this movie, right? Apart from
well,
sort of like,
he basically is funny and like really badass, but like he doesn't have a lot to do plot wise. Because obviously Josh Whedon's a bigger fan of certain characters, like Captain America gets that chase scene in Soul.
mm,
Like you get the downtime with Hawkeye, which is awesome. Like Hawkeye gets so much more to do in this. But yeah, like that's all I'll say on it. Like I love the fucking movie. Like it's probably the one I've watched the most. It's
mm.
not my favorite. It's my second favorite. But yeah, I dig the shit out of Age of Ultron. I've watched it more than probably any movie on this catalog.
We'll put it low top tier
Yeah.
simply because, like, honestly, I don't really remember too much. So I
Mm-hmm.
like I'm just going off what I remember at the time and what I
Yeah.
felt at the time, which is I did like the movie and I thought it was great. And I'm not disagreeing with you that I don't think it's not a good movie because I do think it is a good movie. It just I
Yeah.
remember thinking I just didn't like it as much as the original, and that's it.
That's
That's
fair.
it. That's it. That's all I remember, and that's what I'm going off. That's my argument. So the next movie after that is like
Well,
most of these movies, apart from Iron Man, the first one, because
yeah,
I've watched that so many fucking times, and
Yeah.
Avengers and the first Captain America maybe is like I don't really remember the rest of these. So
Well, you're just using guesswork, basically.
yeah, I'm just going back to what I remember at the time. So I do remember really liking Winter Soldier, so that's why I'm agreeing with you on the on putting it on
So
Ultra Instinct.
the next one we can both agree should go in top tier, and that's Ant-Man.
Oh fuck yeah, I
Yeah.
fucking love Ant Man. Like
Okay, right. Like me and Tom both love Ant-Man. Like I don't think it's best. I think it goes in top tier. Like it's
yeah,
not,
it's not in Ultra Instinct by any means, but
but it
I
is
fucking
up there.
love Ant Man. I think
Like,
it's
I saw Ant-Man at a really rough time in my life. Like a really rough time. Like I just finished uni and
oh
like
god yeah, fuck
and
that was
like
horrible. Yeah.
I'm sure you can not blame me for like feeling the way I
Mm.
did. And I saw it. I didn't see it with you, but I saw it with a good friend, and like I say, it was just the movie I needed. Like it perked me up so much, and like I had such a blast watching that movie.
I've got so
Perfect, no,
I've got so
but
much
what
to say about this movie because I fucking
like
love this movie.
I love it too. Like I love it almost as just as much as you do. Like what I love about it too is like look, I'm not gonna get into the whole Edgar Wright thing because to be honest, at this point, I don't care. What we got was a really good movie that I love, like how much it builds to the shrinking, and it builds to a fantastic third act because there's no really actiony parts, Tom,
No,
up until that last third,
yeah,
and that's what I love about
that
it.
last third is where everything happens. But do you
Yeah.
know what? This is why I love this movie. Is because it
Mm.
is it's a heist movie,
Yeah.
and it's great. Like, look, okay, you can say what you want about every Marvel movie, and you can say, oh yeah, this one's really good because I like these characters and this attraction, right? But
Mm.
if you're gonna boil it down simply, all these movies, let's take Ant-Man out of it, are all the same. They're all the
Well,
fucking same.
the origins are, but yeah,
they're
like
all the same movie, technically speaking. They have the exact same layout. They've got the exact same sort of setup. They're very much the same movie in terms of how they're structured, is what I mean. Not the same movie as what in terms of their content. In how they are structured, they are very much the same. Ant-Man is very different. It's a fucking heist movie. It's
yeah,
like...
and it has a lot of the origin things in it, but
Yes,
it's
it has
so
the classic Marvel formula, but it changes things. It makes it
and
different.
also it has a gimmick that like movies have done before, but it does something so simple with it, Tom, that other movie didn't. He can shrink whenever he wants.
Yeah, exactly.
Like unlike say for example, Honey I Shrunk the Kids, like they shrink once and then they've got the whole movie is just them figuring out how to unshrink basically.
Yeah.
That's the entire movie. It's just them figuring out how to unshrink. Whereas this, he can shrink whenever he wants, and like they have so much fun with it. Like,
yeah, they do. Like, do you know what? I
Right.
remember thinking when the trailer came out for this, I remember thinking they're gonna just make the whole pun about him shrinking and being small, and they didn't at all. Like,
No.
I mean, of course there was some puns in there for it, but like they did so much with it. Like, it honestly, Ant-Man, I feel like is one of the funniest ones. Like, it's got some of the best
oh,
jokes
it's
in it.
great words. I love. I'm forgetting the actor who plays Hank Pym. I'm blanking on his
Michael
name.
Douglas.
Michael Douglas is fantastic.
He's amazing.
In this.
He's great.
I even like the villain. Like I think the villain gets better. He's so evil. He's such a bastard. There's a scene where he's like literally doing experiments on baby lambs and stuff, like baby sheep.
Yeah, he's
He's
such
just
an
like-
evil piece of shit. Like, he's fucking, he's like, oh, it's like honestly,
I love that
just,
part where he just shoots that guy he doesn't like, just shrinks him into basically wipes him and throws him down the toilet. It's so good. It's so good.
yeah, it's so fucking good. Like, it's like, honestly, like I can't explain how fucking much I love this.
And
movie.
also, it's one of the best. Like, I know obviously people complain about it. Oh, it's the guy in the same suit with the same powers, but it's one of the best versions of that fight because the fight with the Thomas the Train track at the end
yes,
is fantastic. Like, it is awesome. Like, it's so awesome. But and then it's going to the quantum realm, which I didn't think we do, is a great setup for the future
yeah,
stuff.
they did it. They completely did it. Do you know? Okay, I'm gonna break it down why I like this movie because I think I've just kind of fanboyed a little bit about it. Right? Okay, I'm gonna break down exactly why I like this movie. First of all, I honestly did not think Ant-Man was going to be my favorite fucking movie. You need to stress that I thought Ant-Man before going into this was kind of fucking lame, to be honest. I don't think most people thought this, right? But they actually made Ant-Man cool. Like,
yeah, I've never liked Ant-Man in the comics. I think him being a different character than Hank Pym was a smart move. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I like how Hank Pym was a '60s hero though as Ant-Man. That's pretty cool.
That's cool. Okay, I'll break down exactly why I like this movie. First of all, it's different because as I said, it's a heist movie. It's like they make it all about them breaking into a place to find something. It's not about big bad villain, we need to stop them. I mean, technically it kind of is because that kind of happens at the end. But they're just trying to steal something, right?
Yeah.
The main character, he's funny. Like he does kind of play a straight man most of the way through this, which is kind of unusual because for most of them, the main characters have been the funny ones, right? Thor was, and so was Tony Stark.
Yeah.
But, like, he's kind of like the straight man. Michael Douglas in this is unintentionally funny. Like,
oh yeah, like he's great.
Funny, he's funny because he's so sort of like dry. Like Hank Pym is like, he's dry. Like his humor is dry humor, but that's what makes it work. Like he's unintentionally funny, which makes him funny. Also, the sidekick to Ant-Man, like the guy who he gets the van, hilarious.
Yeah,
Like
he's great.
his entire,
I like the entire team. Like,
I could
and
honestly,
I like.
yeah, I could listen to their entire shenanigans all day. Him
Yeah, they're
explaining
great.
stuff would be fun. Like someone said this is like, do you know what they should do? Is they should recap Avengers, just having him explain it all.
Yeah, explain it all from what I meant to Endgame.
Yeah,
That would be
it'd be
amazing.
awesome. It'd be so good. Like
So
also
yeah, that would
his
be fantastic.
what I loved as well is that they so throughout all these origins, right? If we look at Tony Stark, right? He finds Pepper. That's the love interest. Like everybody else finds a love interest in the movie or gains one. In this one, I mean, so does technically Ant-Man, but he's the only character that I remember who's actually already been married and had a failed relationship.
Mm.
So they really like make his character relatable for people. And that's not to say that none of these characters aren't relatable, because they are in a way. But they make him the most sort of down to earth for me, personally, apart from maybe some others later on that we're going to talk about. But they make him so much more grounded.
I mean, like I say, he is funny. Like,
Because
yeah,
Captain America, as cool as he is and optimistic as he is, he's from a different time period, so we can't really relate to that because we're not really from that time period. I mean, maybe my grandparents could potentially, but like
he's a fanboy. Like, that's what Ant-Man is. Because
Yeah.
like I say, he does that in Civil War.
Tony Stark's a billionaire rich boy, and as funny as he is, like he's not.
Also, I love in Ant-Man how much of a good dad he is, even despite being a criminal.
Yeah,
Like all the stuff with his daughter is
He's
fantastic.
a great dad. Yeah, his daughter's hilarious.
Yeah.
He's a great dad, even though he's a criminal. And also, you'd find out later because that he did that for the right reasons. But putting that aside, technically he's still a criminal. Which actually, if you think about it, nobody else in this. I mean, I guess technically Bruce Banner, but that's not kind of really his fault. Nobody else in this list is really like started off with a bad past and then became a hero.
Mm.
No one had that redemption arc in that sense. Like, yes, Thor had a redemption arc in terms of that he learned a lesson, right? Hulk was just kind of on the run because of what he is. Tony Stark is a billionaire, so he didn't really learn anything because he's got money. Captain America,
he has to learn plenty of lessons.
Yeah, he does. But like Captain America is like the perfect American, right?
Yeah, he doesn't need to change.
He doesn't need to change. Like Ant-Man has he has had to go through so much and learn so much to sort of turn his life around. He's got like one of the it turns to like his like obviously beginning story. He's had to like evolve so much.
Yeah, like, that's fair. I mean, like I say, I love the movie.
I might be chatting absolute bollocks here, but like this is like
I have nothing more to add. Like I love the movie just as much as you do. So like
yeah.
it's pointless like for me to go on anymore. Like I think I've said everything.
I can't explain how much more I like this movie. I like it. Basically, the bottom line is I like it because it's it's different to the other ones.
It's an important movie for me. For like it's just a good time in my life. It got me like it made me feel good in a time that was really depressing. So
yeah, that's fair. Right, shall we move on to the next one?
So the next one is a movie that many people would argue belongs in Ultra Instinct, but I think it's just top tier. Is Civil War.
Yeah, I mean Civil War's good, but again, I think it's top tier.
Yeah,
like if it was to put it anywhere, I'd say it's like.
So much like Winter Soldier, this is a movie that's completely different. Yeah, top tier.
I'm just wondering where in top tier. Maybe like here.
Let's just put it anywhere. Just put it next to thingy. But
between Avengers and Iron Man 3.
So, yeah. So with Civil War, right? It's a great movie. Introduces a lot of things in the MCU, which we expanded on, like Black Panther, Spider-Man. Has that awesome airport battle that's pretty much the entire movie, worth the entire movie alone. Has a lot of great I love how it's about it's much better than the actual comic because the comic book is garbage. Civil War, cause obviously you can't do secret identity when everyone knows their identity, but it's such a well-made movie. Got some great action. Got a lot to say about how consequences, because this is a movie where Captain America learns that his position not to change has consequences, and it comes out in the dark side by protecting Bucky.
Yeah,
and obviously Iron Man clashes with that, and I think the movie earns the line. People kept saying oh, he's not really his friend. When Iron Man says he was my friend, and so was I. And I think the movie earns that by that point, because it does work on that through this entire movie. And like I say, it's a long movie, but it doesn't feel like it. There's never a part where I'm bored.
No, I definitely agree with you. I think for me, I did really like Civil War. I do think it is a good movie.
Yeah. But the best one. No.
No. It does a lot. Like the whole origin. Like I think the thing that like this is where you find out that Bucky kills Tony Stark's parents, right?
Yeah.
This is that movie,
And yeah,
and
and
I
I have
thought,
issues with that ending, but like
yeah,
I
yeah,
can buy it just enough,
yeah,
basically.
yeah, yeah. I thought that was, yeah, I thought it was good. Like it really adds a bit more depth to Tony Stark. Like it gives him like that. It shows you like it gives you like oops. It gives Tony Stark a bit of a dark side because it shows just how like bitter and
But
angry he can be.
it gives both away downside because it just shows how willing Cap is to just do something for a friend,
Yeah.
but for the wrong reasons. Like,
Yeah, I think it also yeah. Again, it's two sides. Yeah, definitely two sides of the same coin.
like
Right?
their fight is very powerful and like heartbreaking,
Mm.
and like introducing Black Panther and Spider Man, like they're both great. And even Ant Man has some of the best moments in
I
the movie when he
loved
turns big.
I loved the whole introduction of Spider-Man in this movie.
Oh yeah,
It's
it's
like
great.
it's fantastic. Like
Now, one could argue that it does basically stop the movie and like introduce this new character for the sake of just introducing Spider-Man, but the movie makes it work. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, it makes it work. Makes it work. Like
Really good.
Tom Holland as Spider-Man, he's fantastic. He's great.
Oh yeah, he's great.
Like
Yeah.
we talked about this before. Like my problem with previous Spider-Man movies is that Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man's by far the worst ones.
Mhm.
Andrew Garfield is kind of shit at Peter Parker and Spider-Man.
Yep.
Where Tobey Maguire is a good Peter Parker but not a good Spider-Man,
Mhm.
and Tom Holland is good at both.
Oh yeah, finally.
He's good at being Spider-Man and also being Peter Parker. Because the big problem is that Spider-Man and Peter Parker are two separate characters. Like as people say no that they are the same. It's like no, they are separate characters because Peter Parker's an awkward nerd and Spider-Man's this like upbeat superhero who's witty and funny. Peter Parker isn't. And
Yeah.
you need to have that two sides. And I guess, yeah, they do technically change Peter Parker in this and do make him a bit more funnier. But they still keep him as nerdy. And that's what I like. As they also updated. Also, another thing that we didn't talk about. I guess this is more for Homecoming. Actually, we'll talk about that in Homecoming, actually.
Yeah, because Homecoming is
It's more
not
Homecoming. It's not really any of this. But they give Spider-Man an origin in this that makes sense. And they don't try. Also, another thing that I liked is that they didn't kill fucking Uncle Ben for the third time.
Well, they weren't. Like I wasn't expecting
Like
that.
I was like, please don't kill Uncle Ben again. He's died twice already.
I mean, this movie's most impressive thing how it balances so many characters that we've like key characters in most movies and balances them all together like so perfectly. Like no one gets like basically arcs, but it's except for the main three, obviously. But they get moments, and that's enough.
Yeah, I
Like-
also there's great scenes that show you that this entire like movie is kind of pointless in a way. It's because Black Widow and fucking Hawkeye are fighting, and then they stop and goes like, "We're still friends, right?" And they're like, "Yeah, of course." And then they carry on fighting. It's
Yeah,
like,
like that.
that basically sums up the movie. It's like they're friends, but they're still fighting anyway. And it's like,
Like I said, that airport scene is awesome, but it is both a problem and like
yeah.
because of how silly it is in a movie that's trying to be so serious.
Yeah, it's like
Um,
I honestly think like my big problem with Civil War is that as serious as Tony Stark has beef with Cap, it still feels a bit silly. Like it still feels a bit too.
Well, it feels silly up until the point where you find out he kills one, where it just becomes emotional.
That's when it becomes like, okay, this is a bit more like gritty than we kind of realized. But like everybody else's beef is kind of like just not really as irrelevant. It's like, do you know what? Right, I can't remember what this is from, and I can't remember if this is from a movie or a TV show. But there's something says this like, why do we have to fight? Why can't we just have the two people who have got the problem fight? And this is exactly what this is. Why don't just Cap and fucking Tony Stark fight out and let everyone else watch? Why do they have to get fucking everyone else involved?
Also, one other thing I'm going to mention about Civil War, and that's probably the last thing I mentioned about it. I like the villain, like Zemo.
Oh yeah,
played by a great
he was
actor.
great. He was great. Yeah. No,
Great lines, like really good villain. Like, I just wish he had his mask on, but we'll get that in Bucky and Falcon.
Yeah.
But yeah, like not the best Marvel movie by any means, but still top tier. Like it's damn good, damn good. All Cap movies are great. Not gonna lie,
Yeah.
like, I love them all.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all I've got to say. So, you have anything else to say, bud?
No,
Right.
like I've got not really much to say about it. I
Okay.
liked the whole reveal of basically Bucky actually killing Tony Stark.
Yeah, it's well done.
That was really well done. I just
I just wish that I had more of a...
everything up to that point was a bit silly. And then
My Also, another big problem with Civil War and Winter Soldier is that I just wish I had more of a angle on who Bucky is, like, because
Yeah.
it's a big problem because like I still don't know who Bucky is. I just don't know who this character the Cap's fighting so much for. Don't really know who he is. But
Well,
anyway, like
go on.
that's just me personally. That's just me. Like,
I think, like, for me, like, I know who Bucky is. He's just a guy who's been manipulated by so many different people that he himself has lost his entire identity because he doesn't know anymore.
I guess, but like I wish that we had more of an angle on like what Cap is fighting for, like because we still don't know who Bucky was
It just
before
it
the
feels
ice.
to me like Cap's just shielding someone, and it's like
I guess, like,
it feels.
I guess he's just protecting what's left of his past, basically.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
'Cause-
I think
yeah.
exactly what this movie's trying to point out, right, is that Captain America is basically trying to shield his own past. He's trying to.
Yeah.
It's not Bucky he's trying to save; it's his ideals.
Yeah, I think you're right there. Like, say, it's just I just wish I had more of a handle on who Bucky was. Like, and I think Bucky could be utilized more, especially after Winter Soldier and Civil War, because he's such an important part of this movie. He doesn't get anything really to do in the next two. But I'm hoping that that changes in obviously, Falcon and Winter Soldier. But
Yeah.
yeah, I
Next
think
movie.
you're right. But yeah,
Next movie.
so this is one that I actually love even more. Like watching it recently, and that is Doctor Strange.
Fucking love Doctor Strange. That's going in top tier. Like
Yeah, yeah.
Doctor
Not best, but top tier. Yeah.
Doctor Strange, along with Ant-Man, is like one of my favorites. I fucking loved Doctor Strange. Like I remember I think I went to cinema. Yeah, I did go to cinema.
I did go to cinema to see it. I remember not liking it that much when I first saw it, but I've liked it more and more every time I watched it.
I remember seeing it in cinema, really liking it, and then coming out of cinema and going, "No, that's definitely." And then I remember watching it like a second or third time and still thinking the same thing.
Yeah, big problems. Mostly in the first like 10 minutes because I don't think he's an asshole enough. Like I think he's actually kind of likable.
Yeah, he's a bit
so
cocky.
When all he is just he knows his music. Like I mean, we hang out with people all the time that know their shit and like are cocky about it. Like,
yeah, it's
what difference does that
but
make?
in a way, they kind of got the right to because like it's like they know it, like, and they're just flaunting it. Like, yeah,
I don't think there's enough to make me feel like because obviously when he has the accident, he's an asshole. Yes, but he's an asshole for he's lost basically everything. I would understand him being that way.
Yeah.
And also his accent is super cartoonish. It's hilarious.
It's kind of cartoonish.
Like that car crash. That car crash is so funny. But I do like how the movie gets there very quickly. I like how much time we spend with the magic and that. But like I say, everything when he's being an arsehole, like, and to his girlfriend, whatever it is, I think it's justified given the circumstances. He's lost his livelihood basically.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he is an arsehole, but yeah, again, anyone in that situation would be. Like, I think the thing that I loved about Doctor Strange is that it introduced completely new ideas to the Marvel universe, right?
Well, yeah, there are parts of it I don't like. Like, obviously, I like how we're introducing the idea, but I don't like how it does it in Thor, where he basically says, we've got to make it a program so people can understand it. No, why can't it just be fucking magic? Why has it got to be science as well? Like, I hate the part where she says, like, you can think of it as a program. It's like, that's not what magic is. But yeah, like, I take
that with a grain of salt. Like, for me, that didn't bother me as much. Like, also, I want to say that Doctor Strange has some of the best, like, scenes in it in terms of, like, just actual, like, trippiness. Like, when the scenes flip around, it's cool. It's cool as fuck. It looks great.
Yeah, I think it does that too early for, like, us to see it again, but every time it's great. Also, I think the third act with Dormammu is iconic and one of the best in the entire MCU because he basically beats the villain by tricking him.
Yeah.
And the bad guys get exactly what they want. Bad guys as well, played by a good actor, but very weak as well. But that's
actually going back to that point. Every other villain apart from Doctor Strange has been beaten by pure force and pure just like beat downs, right?
But they get what they want.
I guess technically Guardians they have a dance off and that's different. Yeah. But every other it's just been pure like, oh, we beat them into submission. Doctor Strange is the only one that I can recall where they actually get beaten not through force alone, but by
wit, by intelligence.
By intelligence. I guess technically Iron Man because he tricks them going into the sky, but still there was a fight. This one there wasn't a fight at all. It was.
And it has become one of the most iconic Marvel scenes for good reason because it is fantastic. Like
it's great. Yeah, it introduces a lot of ideas as well about the basically about multiverses and everything. And this is exactly why Doctor Strange was obviously introduced because of that.
One of the things I love about it is that when he asks Wong like if he can read the books that are forbidden, like he says no books are forbidden. We just warn people off certain things. Like I love that. It just basically says that they respect all knowledge, but they get taught what's the right and what's the wrong, basically.
Mm.
Like
Also, I
it's
love Wong's a great character. He's such.
Wong's a
I
great character.
I
He's
love.
great.
Yeah, I love.
I wish that they'd use words instead of just magic like stuff, and I also think they're not as creative with the magic as they could be. But we'll get for a sequel potentially. We'll get like
Yeah, well,
because obviously, yeah, you can't go too far with the magic, I guess, because you got to introduce the villains. But I have my problems, but I still think as a whole it works so much better than it has any right to.
I also love some of the fight scenes where they do it in astral projection. The astral projection fight scene was so good.
It's great. I like almost any action scene because it's so much more creative than half the Marvel movies. But like,
I honestly think Doctor Strange is, as well as Ant-Man, are two of the most creative movies that they've done because they're so sort of like, yes, Doctor Strange has that classic Marvel formula, but it's so creative in the way it's done, and the way that they use the magic and the way that they sort of fight is so different to everything else.
Oh yeah, and then obviously we get some more creative stuff in Infinity War. But we'll
of
get
course, yeah. Like Doctor Strange, honestly, Doctor Strange is also another one of my top favorites because I love Doctor Strange. I thought it was fantastic.
I love it. I don't think I'm quite there yet, but like I'm loving it more and more each time I watch it. But obviously I've only watched it a few times. Like I haven't watched it as much as the others, but I like it more and more. Like every time I watch it, like it's great. So yeah, next one is actually, if I remember correctly, actually we're on to my absolute favorite Marvel movie out of all the MCU, which is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. You there, Tom?
Yeah. I'm trying to find where it is.
Oh, you're just trying to find it.
Where is it?
Oh,
there it is. There it is.
There you go. So Guardians 2. So it's pretty good for now. So yeah, this is my favorite out of all the MCU. It's the movie that I wanted the first one to be, much like Avengers 2. I love. This is the movie I've watched almost as much as Avengers 2 since watching it. And this is also this is the weird thing, Tom. Right? I saw this at a time in my life which was almost as bad as Ant-Man, like if not worse. Like you know how depressed I was in 2017. Like so like and like still because I saw this just as that happened. Like and it still is one of my favorite movies. Like
do you know what? I think we talked about this off stream, but I'm gonna mention it. Like I think the reason why Guardians 2 doesn't click with me as much as it clicks with you is because of just like
the personal thing.
It's the personal thing in it. Like I'm not gonna mention it on the stream, of course, but basically like the main villain is like it really vibes with you more than it does with.
And I know people who do the same. Like, I don't need to explain what it is because people will get it if they've seen the movie.
They'll get it if they've seen the movie. They'll understand what I mean. It's like his relationship with the main villain is like I don't understand it because I've never had to go through with it. So I think that's probably why this movie doesn't rate as highly for me. It's just simply because I can't get that mutual feeling. I don't understand that feeling. So for me, it's like it doesn't rate as highly, which is why I'm putting it as good because it's a good movie. It's just like I just didn't like it as much as what I liked up here.
Well,
right?
I think it's like it's so much more like it's got so much more powerful emotions behind it than the first one does. It also does what Empire does, where it splits up the characters, and it works so much better for it because like you obviously have Rocket and Yondu going off and doing something, the rest of them doing the other stuff, and like coming together at the end, and it's just the third act is incredible. Like it's one of the best out of all the MCU where they're fighting like Ego Living Planet, which I love how they put Ego in there. I love what they did with him. Like Kurt Russell is incredible. I just love how weird it is as well. Like it's so strange and bizarre, and that's what I want out of a space epic. Like the part where like they're being chased after these gold guys, but they don't want to risk anyone, so they basically play on arcade systems to shoot them down on their ships. So they're basically all playing arcade shooters.
Yeah.
So good.
Great.
I think the soundtrack for one is better. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, 100%. The soundtrack for one is iconic.
I like this one just as much, but I do think one is better. But yeah, for me personally, it's my favorite out of the MCU. Like it just resonates with me more than any. It's one that I can watch over and over again. Like I love all the character stuff they do. They make tracks. What I love is that they pair each character off with someone else, and it brings out the best in each of them. Like I love Drax's relationship with Mantis. Like he has one of my favorite lines in moments in the MCU where like he's talking about his daughter. He's like, "You remind me of her, like Mantis," and he's like, "What? Was I beautiful too?" No, she was like, "No." He's like, "No, you were innocent."
Yeah.
Like, it's such a like little moment. Like, it's so good.
So I've changed my mind. I kind of want to move Iron Man 3 to good.
What do you mean?
Like, nah, it's fine. I'll leave it where it is.
Leave it where it is, boy.
So yeah, I'll compromise saying Iron Man 2 is good. Guardians 2 is good because obviously I know I'm in the minority on this, but I know a lot of people who love the shit out of this movie. Like
Yeah, like I don't
I
think
know
anyone,
it's
I don't think
loved by
anyone's
a lot of
disagreeing
people.
with you that Guardians 2 is good. Like the Guardians movies are good movies. It's just I just think the other ones are better. Like it's just like for me
Maybe yeah.
I mean personally I would put Iron Man 3 here, but I'm putting it here because obviously I know how much you like this movie, so it goes up a tier because
Yeah. I'm willing
um
to compromise on my favorite god because
yeah.
obviously I know it's not everyone's favorite, but like I say, it's just for me personally, it's my
I
favorite.
just
Like
think this lineup here is a very fucking strong lineup of good
oh
movies.
yeah. But yeah, if you've got nothing else to say on Guardians, like I have nothing else more to say
No.
on it. It's a movie that I'd rather just sit and watch than talk about because
Yeah.
it's so
Well,
good. Um,
what's the next movie?
2017. So I think it's Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Top tier.
Yeah. Great first origin movie for this. Just movie for this new Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Um,
great first opening movie. Like, not only like I think what I love about this, right, is that not only did they capture the essence of Peter Parker and Spider Man, but they really like well tie into the universe. Because like obviously the big thing about Spider Man, and I think everybody knows this, is that Spider Man, like his entire thing is that he feels guilty for Uncle Ben dying. And
mhm.
the reason why he does the things he does is because he feels like he has an obligation to his uncle to provide the service that he thinks
Yeah.
the world deserves, and which is where the motto "with great power comes great responsibility," because he feels like he owes it not only to his uncle but to the world to help people, which is why he does it. So
Oh yeah.
without that like anchor, it was like I think they had a big like a big obstacle to cross because they don't have that thing anymore to sort of link Spider-Man to who he really is. But they replaced Uncle Ben with Tony Stark, and
Oh yeah, and
I
that was
think
the biggest
that was
strength of the movie.
and that I think that's a great thing to do because not only is like obviously Tony Stark now like a mentor to Peter Parker, but he is that anchor to say, look, you need to do this because it is your responsibility. My only problem with Homecoming is I kind of wish they had the great line, the line. That's the only thing that I wish it was there,
I mean,
but
I don't think the movie
but I'm
needs
willing
it.
to overlook it. Like,
Um, okay, so what I will say about Homecoming different to what you just said. I'll say a couple of things. I love how modern this movie feels. Like I love
yes,
how
I
modern
was
the
gonna
school
mention
feels.
this. I was gonna mention this.
It doesn't feel like it feels like a movie made now. I think people are actually made by movies like this was made by someone who actually knew what schools are like now. Um, I love the villain, who's played by Michael Keaton, who is
Yeah,
fantastic. Like he is awesome. Like, and I love how they make him a literal vulture. Like it's
yeah,
really cool.
yeah.
The whole
Which is
thing with tying him,
which is real funny, by the way.
yeah. Like I love how little things they do with the other Spider-Man, like the Shocker and even Scorpion,
Mm.
is really cool. Best scene in the movie is when Tony's downsizing Peter.
Mm.
My biggest issue with this movie is there's no real cool action scene because Sam Raimi knew how to shoot the action well. In here, none of the action is memorable, and this is a problem that the
Well,
sequel also
what about
has.
the last act where they have that big fight on the beach?
It's I can't see anything. Same with
Yeah,
the
it is a bit dark, but
it's same with the fight on
also you
the.
got to realize as well, right? When we watched it in cinema, it was a
I've
way
watched it again.
it
I
was
watched it again
way
many times.
darker. It
It's
was
still a problem.
oh really?
Yeah,
I
it's
thought
still a
the
problem.
copy that I watched it seemed fine. But I remember watching it and going, oh, this is really dark. But I thought that was just because of the IMAX.
Yeah,
Because I remember we seen it in IMAX, right?
well, I think so. But for a Spider-Man movie, it's just not dynamic enough action-wise. Everything else I love. Like I love the comedy. I love like Peter's journey in this movie.
The opening bank scene where the like basically the Avengers quote unquote are robbing the bank. Great scene.
Yeah, it's
Funny.
awesome.
It's funny. It captures everything that Spider-Man is. It's got a great action scene. Also a big surprise. Like obviously it sets up
Oh
the
yeah,
story. Everything.
the surprise with who the villain is awesome. Like
Mm.
we were in the cinema watching this. The entire audience gasped. I love moments like that in
Yeah.
cinema.
I love the
Uh,
scene where he goes into the house to go for the date because he finally sort of gets his shit together, and then he sees the
Yeah.
dad. He's like, "Oh no!" It's like
so-
it's brilliant. And then they have that scene where they realize each other, and it's like
yeah,
it's
it's
so
great.
yeah. It's not only is it great, but it's so like so much tension. You could
I just saved your life. Say thank you.
yeah, it's fucking
So
awesome.
good. Keaton is incredible in that movie.
He
He's just
is great in this movie.
awesome. But yeah, that's all I've really got to say on Homecoming. Like I think it's easily top tier. Like
Oh yeah,
not the
great.
best, but like It's exactly what the Spider-Man movie the MCU needed.
Actually, the one thing that I want to talk about in this movie is like I think you could take it as a positive or a negative depending on your perspective. I personally think it's a positive. Is that I think with this version of Spider-Man that we got is that obviously the Peter Parker that we're used to is I will use the Tobey Maguire ones because like his like origins and like it's a bit whacked and they've changed things about it, but that Peter Parker is kind of what traditionally Peter Parker is in a sense, right? Is that he's supposed to be this loner, he's got the Uncle Ben thing, he's kind of on his own, but this one is a very modernized version of Peter Parker, not only because of obviously the time period, also the fact that they did the whole like modern middle school like thing correctly, but also they've taken elements not only from Peter Parker but also from Miles Morales and incorporated it into one Spider-Man. Like the whole like because obviously Miles has his friend as his psychic, which in this Spider-Man we get I can't remember the guy's name, the friend.
I can't remember his name. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but basically him. They've taken little bits from Miles and incorporated it to this. And I'm okay with it because it works.
Yeah, it's fine. Like it works.
It's to modernize the Spider. It's to modernize it, and it works fine. So yeah, no, I like this movie. I do agree the last scene is a bit too dark. But I thought that was just because of the IMAX. But when I watched it, I kind of thought it was fine. Like I didn't think it was as dark as I remember. But yeah, this was a great Spider-Man movie. Like it had everything I'd wanted from a Spider-Man movie, apart from obviously the setup of Uncle Ben. But I understand why they didn't incorporate it because Uncle Ben's been shot fucking twice now. For them to shoot Uncle Ben for a third time is just like bruh, you know.
Yeah, we don't need it. Yeah,
we don't need it again. All right, I'm done with that. Next movie.
Thor Ragnarok.
Good. Like, for me, I want to say
I'd put it in air, but good. I'm compromising with.
I think it's a top tier good, but I wouldn't put it in top tier because it is a good movie. But it's like.
I mean, do you want me to start?
Yeah, go on.
Okay, so I don't like any of the Thor movies, and this one is no exception. I don't think this movie is very good at all. I don't think it's very funny. It has funny moments in it. My biggest problem with this movie is it's a farce. Yeah. Unlike Guardians, which is a comedy, this is a complete farce and doesn't take itself seriously. It has such childish jokes in it. Like, the whole thing with the devil's anus. I love the stuff with the Hulk when he is the Hulk, but when he's Banner, it might as well be a completely different character to what Banner was. But yeah, I don't like how we've turned Thor into Guardians because that's not what Thor is. I don't want Thor as Guardians. And like, if you can't bother to figure out what to do with him, then just don't make a movie with him and just wait until you figure out something to do with him. This is where Game of Thrones was at its height, Tom. Why couldn't they just do Thor like Game of Thrones? They got a guy who directed Game of Thrones to do the second one, and that didn't work. I don't know. I don't understand it.
I don't understand like why they decided to turn Thor into Guardians 3. Because that's exactly what it is. It's Guardians 3. It's just I didn't like it as much. Like the stuff with the Hulk, great, you know, but that's really about it.
A quarter of the Planet Hulk movie. Villains. What's his word? Grandmaster played by what's his name? You know what I mean? I'm blanking on his name. You know what I mean? I'm gonna have to Google it. Marvel Grandmaster, but yeah, I like Hela. Like she's fun. Like Kate Blanchett is losing this.
Okay. Do you know what? Right, I know this is kind of. Actually, no. I'll mention it later. It's fine. Go on.
Yeah. Jeff Goldblum. That's it.
Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum as Grandmaster is fantastic, but he's better than Hela, the main villain. But yeah, Kate Blanchett's having fun tuning the scenery, and Loki's in it as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, my biggest problem with it is just I don't like it how it's going in free. It's a bit of a farce. It has funny jokes in it, mostly coming from Korg, who is great, played by the director as well. That's fun. Has some cool, like the fight between Hulk and Thor is great, but you know, again, like I just don't like the movie that I got. And I'm not gonna lie, Tom, the movie before we get to the Planet Hulk is really dry and boring for me, because the movie doesn't know what it wants to do by that point. Because they go from Doctor Strange to fumbling about in. I hate what they do with Surtur. I hate how he's just a plot device. Hate it. especially given how important Sita is to the Thor mythos. Like, hate that. Complete waste. And all we get out of it is an okay meme. Don't like that at all.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It just the reason why I don't like Thor Ragnarok is because I feel like, as you said, it feels like they didn't really know what to do with Thor anymore. So they kind of threw a bit of everything in, and it kind of just feels like it's kind of all over the place.
It feels awkward. Like, honestly, guys, watch it again. It just feels awkward. Like, without you laughing at every joke, it's just an awkward movie. It's really awkward to put together. Like, it looks great, but clearly this was just.
It feels like they should have just made another Guardians movie.
I'm really not looking forward to Love and Thunder, like, because it's the same guy coming back, and I'm like, look, I like his work. I've seen a lot of his movies, but right for Thor, he was not. I'm sorry,
actually,
like, I just don't.
Actually, I'm kind of tempted to put this as low good, and
I put it as low for.
Tempted to put it in air, but no, it's not air material. It's close.
No, it's got some great moments. I'd rather watch it than those. Some of those.
Same.
Like, I think it's the best out of all the Thor movies, but I ain't saying a lot, guys. I'm sorry. Like,
it's not.
I just don't.
It's good. Like borderline air. Like,
I don't want to watch a farce. Like, if I'm trying to care about this universe, but especially given what we get to with the next couple of movies in a minute. But yeah, so I think that's the last of 2017. I think the next movie is Black Panther. If we've got nothing else to say on Thor Ragnarok.
Top tier.
Right, so Black Panther. So I would say top tier.
Yeah, I think it's overrated, but it's definitely top tier.
I don't think it's overrated. I think it deserves all the praise it gets. My biggest problem with it is just the effects stuff. Like, everything else, I kind of.
That doesn't mean I don't think it's a great movie, because I do think it's a great movie. I just think like it.
You think compared to the rest of them, what we talked about, it's not as good.
In terms of like all these ones here,
I mean,
like, it's
Black Panther is a very important movie.
But it's a very good movie, and it's a very important movie. I understand that.
Very important movie, especially now. Like, it was the first movie to get nominated for an Oscar, which is superheroes. It's the first one to be really feature, and like obviously an African like cast and that. So, like, it's a very impressive movie.
I think most of them were American, but the
you know what I mean.
The point we're trying to make is like most of the cast were either black or mixed race, or not. Majority of the cast were at least diverse.
Yeah, diverse. It's like, I think you got Martin Freeman and Gollum, because I just call it Gollum because that's just played by Andy Serkis. In the movie is like,
wait, isn't Andy Serkis at the first beginning of this movie, and then he gets killed straight away?
He gets killed in halfway through. He's great in the movie. Like, he's basically the fun villain. Killmonger's one of the best villains in the entire MCU. No arguments there. Like, played by Michael B. Jordan, who is fantastic.
Oh, Michael B. Jordan was great in this movie.
Yeah,
he was
awesome.
He was so good.
Of course, we can't talk about this movie without talking about Chadwick Boseman, who tragically has passed away. And
real.
We still feel the pain of his loss to this day. Like, it wasn't that long ago.
I'm gonna mention this because I like, is kind of a side note, but we recently watched 23 Bridges. I was so impressed with his performance in that. He blew me away. He was amazing in that movie.
He's such a talent that we've lost.
Such a it just shows it proves to me just how talented of an actor he was. He's so good in that movie. Like, if you haven't seen 23 Bridges, Hans said
21, I think.
Is it 21 Bridges? 21, 23. You get what I mean. I loved it. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
But anyway, going back to Black Panther.
So yeah, like, my biggest problem with the movie is just special effects stuff, which I don't blame the movie for because I know the production history. So
my problem with Black Panther is nothing to do with the movie itself. It's just I just think people have overhyped it a little bit. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a great movie. It's a fantastic movie, but it's not up here. It's not Ultra Instinct, like everyone keeps saying it is. It's nowhere near. Like, it's a good movie. No. It's a top tier movie, but it's not up here.
It's incredibly well made and, like I say, really stylish and, like, just such a different movie from what we expected. Like, all the culture of Wakanda is so fascinating.
Yeah,
like,
the culture of Wakanda is so good. Like, it's so interesting, and it's like it's one of those movies where it's like kind of like Doctor Strange and Ant-Man, where they've done something slightly different. Not completely different, because it's still that Marvel formula, of course. But they've given us something more than just this like backstory done. You know, they've given us like a culture, a complete different.
Oh yeah, it's incredible, like what they did with this movie. But yeah, like, I don't think it's best at all, but I think it's up there. Like, I don't think it's quite as overrated as you. I think it deserves most of the praise it gets, but yeah, most of my issue is just technical stuff with it. Like, I love watching it. Like, I've watched it quite a few times. Like, But yeah, do you want to move on to the next movie?
Let's move on to the next one.
So this is the only movie, Tom, which I think goes in Ultra Instinct outside of Winter Soldier, and that is Infinity War.
Oh, straight, yeah.
Now, I have
without a shadow of a doubt.
I have huge problems with Infinity War, but that being said, I still think it's the only other movie that's Ultra Instinct.
It's fucking awesome. Like, Infinity War is the first Marvel movie where the villain actually wins.
Oh yeah, like that is a core to it, but like I say, the movie just does one thing better that I think a lot of them, like people say, like it's all about basically Thanos gets the most screen time. It's all the villains and heroes are just converging on him, and he drives the plot forward by basically being what everyone's basically converging onto.
Yeah.
And obviously, my biggest problem with this movie comes from mainly him. I don't like that. I don't get his motivation. I don't get why his plan is the way he does it. I don't get how the Infinity Gauntlet works. I don't think they explain the rules.
I think the big problem, we've talked about this. The problem with Infinity War and Endgame, we'll get to Endgame in a minute. The big problem with Infinity War that we have is that Thanos is not really Thanos in this. That doesn't necessarily mean that he's bad. It just means that.
Oh no, he's still. Josh Brolin is still fantastic. Yeah, he's incredibly
still fantastic. It's like this Thanos is still great. It's just that traditional Thanos is.
Because they were building up traditional Thanos, and this Thanos is not the Thanos that would have tortured Nebula and Gamora to do the things that they did.
Like they made,
just not it.
It feels like they tried to make Thanos a bit more humanized, and the problem is,
and I think that was a mistake.
That was a mistake because Thanos is not supposed to be. He's supposed to be a monster. He's supposed to be a comic book villain for a reason.
Because he's basically just in love with death, and he's doing anything to prove it. Yeah. So in the comics, Thanos has the gauntlet because he's the only person in the universe with the imagination to wield it, because the gauntlet doesn't work like it does in the movies.
This is another reason why I didn't like Thor Ragnarok. It's because they could have tied Hela into being the love interest and they could have made it work, and it would have been fine. I would have been totally okay with it, but they didn't. They wasted the fucking opportunity.
It would have been the second best movie about wooing Kate Blanchett with a glove. Yeah. But like I say, huge problems with Thanos, but outside of that, everything else works. Like all the action stuff, all the other stuff with every other characters working towards this thing. The ending is iconic with the gauntlet, like with a snap.
Yeah. Okay. Another big problem I have with this movie, I just remembered what it is, and what pissed me off the most is I loved everything. Putting the Thanos stuff aside,
it's the Hulk stuff into it.
It's the fucking Hulk thing, and I want to bring it up because it pisses me off to this day. Right?
Yeah.
It's that okay? So they have everybody, right? Hulk. They bring him in, and he's like, okay, here we go. He gets punched in the face, and that's it. He's out for the rest, for two movies, dude. Not just one, for two.
He doesn't get punched in the face. He gets a good beating.
He gets a good beating, but do you know, this is what annoys me about Marvel. This is one thing that annoys me about Hulk, and which is why I've not just like that, because this movie isn't air, but Hulk in all these movies is so underpowered. So fucking underpowered compared to what he actually is. Hulk is broken as shit, right? Is that
Thanos has beaten the Hulk in the comics before, so like I don't.
Yeah, true. But you've said this, right? Is that Thanos has a list of people who he does not want to face most of the time in the comic books, and Thor is not Thor. Fucking Hulk is very much at the top of that list.
No, that's Doctor Doom usually.
Apart from Doctor Doom, but he's very close up there because Hulk is broken, dude. Like
Hulk isn't that broken. He's just really, really strong. The only time he's been super broken is when he came back from Earth after Planet Hulk. And
but that's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean. He's broken. Like if he gets to that level, he's broken. Like even put that aside, right? Is that this Hulk is a complete pushover. Like he's a
bully. That's all he is.
Yeah, he's a bully. He gets a bit beaten up and he gets all sad and upset.
Yeah, that's what a bully does.
That's not what Hulk is. Like if this was actual comic book Hulk, he'd just get mad. He'd get fucking angry and he'd stop pummeling shit. And he doesn't do that, and it pisses me off.
Look, I don't like what they do in the Hulk, especially in Endgame, but we'll get there.
Yeah,
so.
Again, another thing that pissed me off. That is like one of my big problems with Endgame as well. Is Hulk in that too? It's because they don't do anything with him. What's the point of having the Hulk if you're not going to use him? This is what annoys me. Is they don't use the Hulk. Use the fucking Hulk.
I guess they just didn't know what to do with him, but you know, either way, like I say, I still think the movie's basically Ultra Instinct because it just does so much right more than the other ones.
Putting those problems aside, they're things that annoy you, but it doesn't ruin the movie at all.
Like, they don't ruin the movie at all. Like when most people put this as the top of their Marvel list, and I can see why.
Yeah, same.
Like
same.
My problem with it, but I'm just putting it more in case of like I think it deserves to be an extra Ultra. I think it's
it's that good. Like the parts that are good are just so fucking good. Like I say, the battle with Thanos, with the moon, and that the stuff with Wakanda, it's all fantastic. Like it's some of the best of the entire MCU. So
Yeah.
you know, like I can't really fault it. Like there's problems I have with it personally, but
Yeah.
for the greater whole, like I think it deserves to be up there.
No, definitely.
Next is Ant-Man and the Wasp. Now I think that could just go in good,
Yeah,
not top
good.
tier, just good. It has the same problem for me that Spider-Man 2 has, Far From Home, is that it's a really funny movie, but it's just stocking filler.
Yeah, it is.
That's all it is.
Exactly what it is. Like, don't get me wrong, I love it. I think it's great.
Oh, yeah, I saw it twice because I thought it was so fucking funny.
It's a great movie, but I just is.
I wouldn't really say it's good. I just think it's a good movie. It's just a really fun time. Like
Yeah, it's a fun movie. Like, it's just not as good as the first one.
no,
And
its villain is stronger,
yeah,
but it has too many. Like it has too many things going on. I like how it feels like a classic comedy from the 60s, 70s, where like it's all a big chase. It's all just happening. Wasp is great. Like things like that. But yeah, the movie's just really funny. Like it's a damn good time. It's what we needed after Infinity War, to be honest. But
yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's a good movie. It's definitely a good movie. It's not top tier because the only reason like these movies are in here is because I think they changed a lot. Like they gave us something that was unique or different or really was like wow, blew our mind. Ant-Man and the Wasp, good movie, didn't blow my mind.
Yeah.
And that's
like I say,
that's all I got. That's really all I got to say about it. There's not much really that I can say about this movie because it was good. It's just like it honestly nothing really stood out, and that's really about it.
Yeah, that's all I got to say. That's really, but yeah. Next one is Captain Marvel. Now this is one we're going to argue.
Yeah,
like I don't think it's dog shit, but I don't.
The thing is that I don't think it doesn't deserve to be in dog shit, but at the same time,
But
it's like
not. It's air. It's air.
It is very air. Like the problem with Captain Marvel, right, is that the reason why it's not in dog shit is because really. There's two reasons why I think it's not in dog shit. Is first of all, Samuel Jackson is brilliant in that movie, and he carries that movie super fucking hard.
The scrolls are great in it,
as well as the scrolls. They're the two things that carry this movie. If it wasn't for those two, it would 100% be in dog shit. But because of those two reasons, that's what saves it. Brie Larson in that movie is dog shit awful. She is bad. Yeah, fucking bad.
She does really not know what this character is at this point.
She
like
is,
a lot of.
Not only does she not know what this character is, she just looks bored all the time in the movie.
Yeah, it's a big problem. Like for some character that's introduced is so powerful, like, yeah, it's just not that interesting. Like
I don't even care. I like putting what Brie Larson said aside. I don't really give a shit what she said aside. Like what annoys me about this movie is just that she just doesn't do anything with Captain Marvel. Like she could have done so much with it and give her so much unique things like everybody else has done with their characters. Like give them something. She hasn't given them anything. Like she just basically plays her. Really, she just plays herself, and that's it. She just plays Brie Larson, and that's about it. And there's nothing unique about that. There's so much she could have done with fucking Captain Marvel, given her so much more, and she didn't. And she's just boring.
Yeah, like I said, I couldn't really have much to say because honestly, I can't remember. I just want to watch the least out of all these ones.
It's like she could have made it interesting. Like, fuck me, dude. Like,
it's the definition of an air movie.
Yeah,
like
it's very much an air movie. Like the only thing that saves it is fucking the Skrulls and Samuel Jackson, and
that's all it is really. There's nothing really like. Ronan comes back in it, I guess, for a little bit, but he's wasted. So, what can we do? What can we say? Yeah, that's all I got to say on Captain Marvel. Don't worry, give that movie more time of day, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, what's next?
It's a lazy movie, basically. Yeah. It's lazy in every sense of the way because they got really like good actors to carry it through and didn't really bother focusing on the lead. Shame. Yeah. It's a shame. Honestly, it's a big shame.
So next is Endgame, which I think is Ultra Instinct, but I think it leans more towards the top tier. But I'm fine putting Ultra Instinct.
Ultra Instinct, like for me, it's a perfect. It's the movie that wraps up.
I like it more than Infinity War. Yeah, so maybe it should belong in Ultra Instinct. My only problem with it is the same problem I have with of all movies Back to the Future 2. I don't like going back to movies and repeating the same beats, but this movie does it better than Back to the Future 2 because it actually gives us new scenes that I love seeing the scenes like
how we think Avengers would happen.
It gives us
Even
it gives us new perspectives on things that we already knew, or things that we
Yeah.
didn't know were happening at the time, and then gives us a different It's great. It's really well
going
done.
back to the Guardians opening is hilarious. Like where they
Yeah.
just go, Zero's an idiot, and just knocks
Yeah.
him out.
It's great. It's fucking amazing. I love the fact that as well is that the first opening for this movie is them just lost and just don't know what to do. It's fucking
It builds
amazing.
to an incredible third act because there's no real action in it, Tom, until like the last third.
It's a slow burn.
And the third act is arguably the best of the entire MCU for obvious reasons.
The third act is fucking incredible. It's like when everybody pours in, awesome, great.
Yeah. Like I have my issues with Thanos, but like I like him more in like that he is more comic book Thanos in this, even though he is
I love
basically
how at
just...
the beginning he's just a fucking farmer. He's just harvesting turnips.
Yeah.
They come in and cut his head off.
But yeah, I like its quiet moments. I like how everyone's contemplating on this loss. All the Avengers stuff with all the ones that are still left is great.
This one,
There's so many great moments in this one.
This one really shows you just how big of an impact, like them wiping, like these characters dying, like just how big of an impact it had on these. Like Tony Stark in this in like this movie really shines. Like he really
not just because he dies,
not just because he dies, but because just he basically pulls it all together for everybody else.
Yeah, and like all of them get something to do. Like it's so good. Like even when they come back, everyone gets something. But
everybody has their. Do you know what? Everybody in this movie has their thing. Everybody has the thing that is that they do or say that's important. And like Black Widow and Hawkeye have the thing where they find the jet. Spoiler alert. Where they find, if you haven't seen it now, what the fuck are you doing? Where they find they find the soul gem, and then Black Widow sacrifices important part as well.
Great scene.
Yeah, as well as
probably one of the best scenes in the movie.
Isn't it this one as well that you find more about Hawkeye's family as well?
No, because most of them are dead at this point. He just goes around on a rampage as the Ronin.
Oh yeah, as the Ronin. Yeah. There's that as well. Like everyone has their own thing in this. Like everyone has, apart from Brie Larson. Because she comes in and tries to save the day, but doesn't really do anything.
But like I say, like it has problems, but like the problems that I find less like I like it more than Infinity War. Like I like the slow burn, the payoff at the end. Like I think it all earns it.
It wraps it up nicely.
Yeah, like I love it. Like I dig it. I dig the shit out of it. Endgame is like up there. Like everyone loves it. I don't think we need to.
It's well deserved. It's well deserved. All the praise it gets, it's well deserved because it perfectly wraps up this build up of all these movies into one big thing, and the payoff is great.
It's fantastic.
It's a movie that ends an era, and it's well deserved.
Oh yeah.
There's a reason why it became one of the biggest movies of all time.
Biggest movie of all time. Yeah. So, any more to say on it?
No, like I honestly, apart from like obviously like the
praising it, like there's nothing
else to say. Like of course, like is there problems with it? Sure, the whole time travel shit is a bit questionable.
Oh yeah, it's a bit like we're just gonna make the rules up as we go along. But yeah, like we'll just go with it.
If you look past that and just take it for what it is, yeah, it's whatever, and that's really all I've got to say about it. Apart, there's nothing more that I could really say about it. So Spider-Man is the last movie. Homecoming, Far From Home. Good. That's it.
Exactly where Ant-Man is.
It's a high good. Again, same problem with Ant-Man. It's like it's a good movie, but it doesn't do anything
anything special.
Anything special, like
until the last basically 10 seconds.
Yeah.
When basically Peter Parker's identity gets revealed, and the whole thing with Jonas coming back. But I will say this: the movie's hilarious. Mysterio is my favorite Spider-Man villain of all time. Jake Gyllenhaal is fantastic. I love what they do with him. I love how modernized they make him. Like everything Mysterio is fucking awesome in this movie.
Yeah, Mysterio is great. The one thing that I will say about this movie is what I loved about it is that you could really tell that the Tony Stark dying really affected Peter. Like in this movie, you could tell that it was a big thing for him, and like for that to be sort of a hollowing thing, like an echo in this movie to be, like reminds Tony's gone. It's like it showed just how like well thought out they thought about not just his character, but the end game and everything, and also for the fact that Peter was going to be potentially the replacement, and it was more as a passing of the torch moment is the best way I could describe it. This movie was basically to really kickstart the next generation.
like I say, it's really funny. It's really good. It's just not. It's not a special Spider-Man movie. It's just a stocking filler again. Like
Yeah, it's a stocking
nothing
filler.
wrong with that.
Yeah, nothing,
Like,
nothing wrong with it. It's just like there's just nothing too special about it to really give it.
and again, it has the same problem as the first Homecoming. Is that the action just isn't that spectacular. Like it should be much better. The best scene in the movie is the hallucination with Mysterio, which is awesome
Mm,
and exactly what I wanted that scene to be. But everything else, like with the elementals and
mm.
the drones, is like
Yeah,
just so much. It could just be so much cooler than it is.
yeah. The whole thing of it, like honestly, like I think I generally didn't think they were going to do the things with Mysterio that they did. I honestly didn't think. I thought they were going to.
I predicted that. But I was just waiting for that scene to happen. You know, as soon when it reveals that it's all fake. Like
Yeah, I thought it was
because
great.
I didn't. I love that how like Jake Gyllenhaal does the performance. Like he does the dry thing and then he changes his performance to like just let loose. It's so good.
Mm.
Like yeah, it's great. Like I love everything Mysterio in the movie. But yeah, it's fine. Like that's all I've got to say about it really. But that's it. Like until Black Widow finally comes out.
Oh yeah, because it's
You
been
know,
delayed.
yeah.
But that is technically the last movie of this like era, right?
No, Black Widow is the start of Phase 4. So
Is it?
yeah, because Homecoming was the last of Phase 3. I've been told. So
Oh, okay. No, it feels like Black Widow should have been part of this phase more than anything.
yeah, but obviously we've got One Division coming out, which I don't think is fair to rank. So, but we'll just have to see what happens when that comes out.
But yeah, that is
So, yeah.
that's basically our list. Like this is exactly like to be honest, half these movies I can't even fucking remember. So is
Yeah, that's it.
but yeah, like the ones that I do remember. Hey.
Yeah.
Well,
Like
but yeah, this is our list. Like you can agree or disagree with it. At the end of the day, it's just an opinion, right?
Yeah.
But as a combined effort, this is like my
Yeah.
personal list is different to yours, and yours is probably.
Well, I think
different
this
to
is
mine.
fine for
But,
where.
but
for where
between
it
the two
is.
of us, I think this. I'm happy with this. I mean, I agree.
Yeah,
with
I'm
this.
happy with it too. Yeah.
I agree with it. Yeah. Well, anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching our podcast. God, we fucking been banging on them for about 2 hours nearly.
Well, it's fun times.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you everybody for watching our podcast. We will see you in the next one. This has been real fun to make. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. Hang on, let me get the slide up. Oh, hang on, fucked it up. Where is it?
Got up.
There you go. So there you go. You can follow us on Twitter at 121 Gigawatts GG. On Twitter, it's the only social media that we got right now. But you can follow us on there if you want to get an update on any of our podcasts or any of our commentaries or any of the videos that we're making.
Yep.
But yeah, any closing comments, Jacob, before we go?
No, not really. I'll see you guys next time. That's basically all I gotta say.
Yeah. All right. Well. Yeah. Okay. Well. Bye.